We have one remaining with the individual, and he's not going to let her leave the aircraft at this time.
He made me feel very sure that we had a very real and horrifying threat.
We don't know who he was, where he came from, or where he went.
Well, hello there, everyone. Hello. Let me try to plug some stuff in as I'm getting there. My gosh. Good gravy. Okay, let me try to plug some stuff in. Excuse me. Oh, hey. Oh, bad focus. Not a good start to the show there. Trying to plug in my stuff here. Hello, everybody. Hello, BBG from Cornwall. Miss you. Hope to see you soon. Who else we got? Hello. Everybody's here. How are Uncle Bruce and Darren doing? Yeah, I know. The live chat is during the All-Star game. I know. But, Tuesdays are my thing. If the MLB, they should reschedule the All-Star game for me. If they have a problem with DB Cooper Sleuth, the Major League Baseball can take it up with somebody else. Come on. Sorry, people. There we go. Okay. Sorry. Okay. We're here. All right. Weird start. Sorry, guys. All right. Here we go. Let's see. 1 a.m. for you. Life. So what are you, over in the UK or somewhere? Hello from Northern Canada. Hello, everybody. I'll try not to drive you crazy today. Well, Max, McCoy impersonation. Oh, where? Hey, Ryan, how are you? I'm good. Oompa Loompa fan. Hello, Mick. Hello, Mary Johns. Mary Johns, the hero of the moment. We'll get into everything today that we were discussing on the show. But all right. So what are we going to talk about other than? Well, I'll just go ahead and say that it is notable, and I'm not picking on Flyjack here. For those who don't know, Flyjack is a researcher who is very diligent and knows his case files better than anybody on the planet, other than me. I think we're probably equal on the case files. I think I don't think I'm better than Flyjack. I know he thinks he's better than me at this stuff, but I count him as an equal as far as the files go. But he does, have issues with his suspect. He is a suspect guy. He is pushing William or Frederick or Bill Heineman. And for years, I've been asking him, what are you going to do? Right? I mean, surely they showed his photograph to the stewardesses and they would have said, no, that's not DB Cooper. And he's like, well, eyewitness recollection's bad and yada, yada, yada. And this guy lost weight and his weight fluctuated. And I've got lots of pictures of him looking different. I mean, I don't know. I mean, looks kind of the same to me. Heineman does for the most part. Just looks like a, I mean, I don't know. All the pictures I've seen of the guy, he looks kind of like the same individual. Looks like Heineman, I mean, you see this guy here looks like this guy here. And also this guy here. I mean, they all look, I mean, I don't see any real difference in them. I mean, I've got a lot of pictures of this guy too. And I don't know. I think that, I don't know. It just seems rather silly to me. But anyway, so I've been asking Flyjack for a long time, what are you going to do if we ever come across a file about them showing it to the stewardesses? And, the way that they've been releasing the suspect files is chronological. Okay. So they're doing it chronologically for when the tip came in. So they will create a suspect file number 242. Then another call will come in 243, whatever. And they're releasing these in chronological order. So, I've been watching for May of 72, June of 72 in particular, because June of 72, May of 72, that's when the Heineman hijacking was. I'm just curious. It's not that I have some animosity toward, Fly. I want everybody to get along. Okay. I really do. That's kind of my thing. And I try to be a peacemaker as much as I can at times. Sometimes I fail. We all let emotions get the best of us, but just for the sake of the case, I wanted to see if there was ever a thing. And I missed it. I didn't see it. But thing is, I was reminded that that there is a suspect number for Hahnemann. Okay. And this, as they're releasing these files, they're releasing them, the suspect files themselves. So he's number 494 or whatever. And so I went back and looked at 494, and I didn't, things didn't really click. But Mary Johns, our Kiwi from New Zealand, spotted something in subfile 494, which is this. This is the file here. And it's mainly about some other guy who's not Hahnemann, okay? It's some other guy named Duquette or something like this, right? But at the very bottom, though, it says, you can see there, it says, on June 1st, 72, the following photographs were displayed to Northwest stewardesses, and it probably lists Mucklow, Hancock, Schaffner, probably, who stated that these individuals bear no resemblance to the unsub. Now, if you go down to the next page, you'll see here that two of the ones at the bottom there, where they say furnished, it's furnished by Alexandria Division. Now, that's the Virginia division that was prosecuting Hahnemann. And obviously the date on this is going to be June 1st, right? And it was right at June 1st is when the first kind of news got out there that Hahnemann was the guy. They had not caught him yet. He turned himself in like the next day or whatever. But that's that. And so we put two and two together, and sure enough, I mean, and then if you lay over, if I do my little wizardry, and you lay over the redaction or whatever, you can see it lines up. Frederick W. Hahnemann, and also George Ames. It was his that was his Dan Cooper. That was his alias. Okay. So George Ames was also furnished. And that's, I don't know why that's on there, but that's that. So yeah. So it's always notable whenever a Cooper suspect, even if he's not my suspect or someone I really care about, I don't think Hahnemann's a good suspect, but it's always notable when a known named suspect is found to have been shown to the stewardesses. Okay. So that's notable. I think it is. So Mary Johns gets the credit for that. All right. Yeah, I agree. Case closed. Eliminated. Mary Johns says eliminated suspect 494. No, mystery bag. The case has not been solved, but we have eliminated Hahnemann, which to me, that's something that we could talk about. Is my latest video about the National Geographic sketches, right? And if I pull up, let me try to pull up the. Let me try to find where I put those things for the National Geographic. I'm trying to find there we go. Wait, is this? I'm trying to find where I saved my my Nat Geo files. Let's see. Where did I? So I'm gonna try to upload those. There we go. Okay, so yeah, let's see. All right, so yeah, we got this guy here. Obviously, does look like Hahnemann, So I mean, Flyjack was obviously really happy when he looked up these National Geographic pictures. And for those who are just trying to figure this out, who didn't watch my video, Robert Gregory, the Cooper eyewitness, Robert Gregory, he cut out from National Geographic. He cut out a bunch of photographs of people whose faces he thought resembled or not, who had facial features that he thought resembled Cooper. Okay. And he came across some of these guys. I'm struggling today, guys. I don't know what the deal is. I'm trying to find out where in the world. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Where in the world there we go. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, people. Sorry about that. Okay. basically, this is what I'm talking about. So Gregory sends in pictures of National Geographic pictures of Hispanics, because Gregory was really big into the idea that Cooper was a Hispanic, and he picked out several features of people. Mainly, he wanted to illustrate what a round cheek was, because he was convinced that Cooper had round cheeks, and so he wanted to illustrate what round cheeks were. And so he cut out a bunch of illustrations from National Geographic of people with this round cheek thing that he thought Cooper had. And one of them was this picture of women here. And I went and found these pictures years ago from National Geographic's online, and Flyjack did the same thing before me, no doubt. And but yeah, these are round cheeks. You see, I guess it's a Hispanic thing that he thought that Cooper had. And yeah, one of the photographs that he picked out, looks like Heinemann, but again, he's referring to the features, right? I mean, he uses women. I mean, he's not saying these guys look like Cooper, because this guy and this guy don't look alike, right? So, or, this guy, these people don't look like the same guy. So we're not, this guy here does not look like this guy or this guy. So yeah. Or this guy who was picked out. I mean, all these people look different. So he's not saying these people look like Cooper. He's saying that they have the round cheeks. And what's funny is I came across this guy. Now that's a guy. If Gregory had seen this guy, I wonder what he would have thought, because I did come across this guy in National Geographic, and I was like, oh my gosh, now that's a Coopery image, isn't it? But anyways, all right. The C stands for Cooper. It could, it's Cubs, but anyways. All right. So yeah, that's the PCA just homered. That's a Cubs thing. Hardy har. Anyways, but yeah, that's what's been going on. Is we've been discussing all this stuff with Flyjack on the Facebook group. Did he say the noses look the same? No, he's referring to the nostrils, right? I mean, remember, he's referring to he says he's referring to the nostrils of Cooper, because, Gregory picked out Cooper's nose. The nose that Gregory picked out for Cooper's nose was that it was narrow base. And a narrow base nose is a tight little nose, just like the Bing sketch, right? I mean, look, so this isn't the catalog that he chose from. That's elusive. I don't have that one, but this is what narrow base noses are in the catalog. These kind of like narrow noses, right? And we can see that, of course, in the Cooper sketch, right? That, that's the same sort of nose, right? And Gregory thought the nostrils were too pinched. He said the nostrils are too pinched. He's not saying the nose is big. And yeah, that's a problem with. That's another problem with Heinemann, is his nose is big, and that's a problem I've always had. Flyjack can say that people have personal animosity toward him, but it's not. It's just the noses. I mean, the guy had a nose that no one would ever describe as narrow base. Look at his nose. That is a fat, kind of flat nose. That's his nose at the top. So I'm not seeing it at all. And another problem I have with him is the lips. Cooper's lips are very, look at the sketches. They all have that kind of heavy, fat, kind of thick lower lip, it's heavy. Okay. And this guy does not have that at all. In fact, they refer to him as thin-lipped Heinemann in some of the news articles. He has a lack of he does not have a fat lip. He doesn't have any heavy lip at all. So yeah, I just, not a good suspect for me. He's also 5'8". Wasn't Gregory drunk? No. I think George Lebissiniere was drunk. Okay. Lebissiere's drunk. I think he was the drunk. Okay. Because he looks a little unsteady in the video of him getting into the airport. You don't know who Flyjack is. Well, he's a researcher. Okay. From which photo are you talking about, Mary Johns? Yes, Heinemann did have a mole by his nose, or a growth by his nose. I'm not sure which one you're referring to. But which photo are you referring to? I think I see what you're saying. I'm not sure. Are you saying that like that below his glasses, kind of in the middle? I don't think that's what they're talking about. Is that the photo you're referring to, or is it? I don't know. But it does say, I mean, it does say he had a growth. It does say that Heinemann had a growth on his nose. That's part of the overblown mugshot passport photo. Okay, I don't see that. I don't see what you're referring to in that photo. I'm not seeing anything sticking out by his nose, but it does say, if you read the witness description of him, let's see. I don't think it says it in this one, but this is the witness description of Heinemann. Partly graying hair, missing upper teeth on both sides of mouth. Flyjack says it's bicuspids, which is like, okay, I don't know how anybody would see inside someone's mouth that deep to spot both sides of their mouth missing bicuspids, but okay. Stocky, Cooper's not stocky. Cooper's not 5'8" to 5'9". Come on, people. But yeah, and it does say there is somewhere where it says he had a growth on the side of his nose. Okay, but I'm not seeing that, Mary. Anyways, okay, here's some questions. Was he okay? Let me. Somebody said they fall asleep to my podcast, which is I have no idea how you would do that, Liam. I mean, I'm a fast talking. I mean, I'm not boring. How is this ASMR? But you're saying, can I ask? And please excuse my ignorance. You're excused. I drift off to sleep listening to your previous live streams. Can you or someone else explain what you mean by when you or your guests mean by saying 3 something? You maybe 3? You're referring to maybe KK51 or something? Is that what you're thinking about? 3? Somebody figure this out. What are we talking about when we? Yeah, I don't. It says just hearing about a subject you know about kind of lets your brain fall asleep. I agree. I fall asleep listening to astronomy podcasts, so I get it. 302s. Oh, 302s, 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 302. So 302 is not every FBI file is a memo, and not every FBI file is a 302. We just call them 302s. But 302s are, it's called an FD 302. That's the name of the form. Let me try to see if I have a template for a 302 maybe. Okay. Yeah, they're just a form that people do. You just do it. I mean, I don't know what else to say it, but it's just it's an FBI file. It's just called and we just call it the FBI files. And we use the term 302s in general, but a 302 is a form that relates an interview. So if you go to my website, norjack.org, all the witness statements, those are all 302s. And I think most of them will say somewhere at the top, FD 302. So that's what 302s are. Yep. Okay. Okay. Yes. Was he suicidal or did he know what he was doing? I mean, you can be both, I guess, couldn't you? I mean, I think maybe both. I think he knew what he was doing, but I think he didn't care that he died. I don't think he cared I don't think he cared if he died or not, because I mean, he seemed to tell Tina, he told Tina several times, I won't be taken alive. I'll die today if I have to, things like this. So, and again, he's doing something that had a 0% success rate. Hijacking literally had a 0% success rate. Did we get him? Are we close now? No, we didn't get him, Noel's fan, and we're not close. I don't think at all. Sorry. I'm not getting notifications for your lives. Well, ring the bell, man. Is the bell clicked? I'm not sure. Yes, he had to be prepared for the risk of death in this crime. Absolutely. That's part of it is, a lot of these guys seem to be suicidal or off their rocker. I mean, we know McCoy was. Did Gregory really wear a yellow sweaters? I don't know, but That's my Easter egg. Yellow sweaters, people. There's lots of Easter eggs in my AIs, right? Lots of Easter eggs. There's the Mr. Gregory, the AI. And people say it's slop, man. I get mad when people say AI slop. AI, look, when AI takes that long to create, do you have any idea how long this took me to make? Like literally like 4 or 5 hours for 10 seconds. Okay, so it's not slop. Those are the magazines on the table. Those are the covers of the magazines that he cut from. Okay, that is diligence. Okay, it's not slop. AI that is not slop when it takes 4 hours to make 10 seconds. Okay, no. All right. Thank you. It's not slop because I make sure it's historically accurate. Thank you. I try. What percentage do you think Cooper was winging it? You mean like overall winging it, or what percentage? You mean overall winging it, or are you saying what percentage of the hijacking was winging it? Yes, the way some people use it creates slops. Absolutely. It's lazy as hell. Okay. The hijacking. Okay. The hijacking in general, how much of it was being winged? Oh, wow. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you. Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Super chats. Thank you. Thank you, sir. That's really generous of you. I really appreciate that. I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, thanks, Joe. Okay, let me have another super chat to get to. Oh gosh, a bunch. Good God. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, people. Sorry, people. Let me get back. Okay, the hijacking. What percentage of the hijacking was winged? I mean, his drop zone was definitely winged. I mean, because there's no way he could have known. There's literally, he did not give them anything to work with that would have, he didn't give them a speed, so he couldn't track how fast they were going, where he was at a certain time. I mean, they had choices of which highway, I mean, they call it airways, but I mean, think about this. It's like whatever roads are near your house or whatever. I mean, if you don't know which one somebody's going to take, how can you ever plan anything? Like if you're not in control of, it's like saying you're going to jump out of a car. It's like, oh yeah, me and Joe are going to drive we're going to drive to Boston from New York, and I'm going to just jump out of the car somewhere, and I never told Joe or whatever what road to follow. I just jump out. What are the odds you're going to land where you want to land? You're not. So no, you die on that hill. Come fight me, anybody. Cooper did not. I think he had a concept of where he wanted to jump out, which is, I don't think it's a coincidence. And see, here's Flyjack would say, this is nonsense. He will literally say, you're nonsense. If someone says this, and I've seen him say this is nonsense. When I say, it makes sense to me that Cooper would jump out where he started, right? Because that's where his transportation was. It makes sense you jump out where you started. Duh. I mean, now it all, especially, I mean, that just makes sense to me. I mean, I just don't think that's, it's coincidental where he actually landed, but I think he wanted to get out. I think he could have timed it wherever he was. He knew he was going to be flying south, and he knows, hey, 30 minutes in the air, or whatever, we'll be near Portland. Okay. That's just common sense. I mean, but there's no way he could have landed anywhere with any sort of specificity. So no, that part was winged. He winged the money bag by not asking for a knapsack. That, again, for those who maybe have not heard me for the past gazillion years, I've been doing this. That is the oddest thing that he did. Not requesting a knapsack. I mean, I think Cooper intended to have remember, a knapsack, meaning that's an old school term, another old man term for a backpack. Okay. Like school backpack. So he wanted it in a school backpack, and I'm almost positive, and it makes perfect sense. What he was going to do is he was going to wear it backwards. Like you the cool kid in school wearing a backpack backwards, with like a baby papoose. He's going to wear the backpack with all the money in it backwards. And then he's going to strap his parachute on over it. Okay. So it keeps it down. I mean, duh. But instead of saying, hey, this money's not, he just says, this money's not in a knapsack. I wanted this in a knapsack. He bitches at Tina about it for a little while. It's not a knapsack. But he doesn't go, well, go get me the knapsack. Go get it from a kid in the airport or something, I mean, people say, oh, he didn't want to waste time by asking for any more items. He was asking for crew meals and things. And that stuff didn't arrive until later on. So, no, he could have asked for the knapsack and he didn't. Instead, he spends an hour and a half MacGyvering that thing right there. You're winging it if you're jumping with this thing back here, okay, tied to you. That's winging it. So yeah, his getaway was winged, and him taking delivery of the money was winged in a way. So yeah, he winged some and he planned some of it, as this guy says, and yeah. All right. Okay, so yes, super chats. Even Ryan, how do attorneys truly feel about representing defendants in a jurisdiction where DAs are not known not to prosecute? Well, it makes your job easier. I mean, if I was in so the jurisdiction I practice in is quite literally, and I mean, you could look up Madison County, Mississippi, or Rankin County, Mississippi. This jurisdiction of these two counties, probably the toughest on crime in the entire country. And that's a fact. I mean, it's not like I'm just making that up. Like, you could look that up probably and see that. Very much, very, very, very harsh on people. And that makes my job harder because it's, I get plea deals that aren't great. Sometimes I don't get great plea deals for my clients, and that you have to go to trials and things. And it's just, but yeah, I'd be great. I mean, I would not want to live in a place where DAs are not known to prosecute. Certainly wouldn't want to live there, but as a defense attorney, if I'm still getting paid, then okay, I guess I don't have a problem with it. No problem at all. Because I'm still making money. I don't have to work as hard, then okay. Let's start a petition to call the Portland Timbers Seattle Sounders matchup in the MLS, the DB Cooper Derby rivalry. Thanks for the stream. That's cute. Actually, and I wish I could find it. There was somebody had a huge DB Cooper banner at one of the Portland soccer games. And I wish I could find that. But yeah, it was really cool. So that's that. Ryan, are most lawyers conservative? No, I don't think so. I would say most, I would say no. I mean, again, lawyers are just people. I mean, it's like saying, who's whatever. But no, I don't think, I wouldn't say, I mean, I've known lawyers of every stripe. Tell me, Ryan, in Mississippi, do they still have the chain gang? No, we don't have chain gangs. Louisiana might still, actually. I think they might be the only ones. I think Angola may be the only. Then they may have discontinued it. But Parchman Farm is Mississippi's Angola. That's a horrible, horrible, horrible freaking place. I've had to go up there many times. I saw an execution there. One of the cases I prosecuted. That was interesting. Okay. All right. I think if he was on Benny's, that could have helped him feel confident to wing a lot. Depends. I don't think so, though, Mary. I think that I can smell ADHD coming off of Cooper. Okay. I am ADHD as hell, and I can smell it on that man. And, Benny's Benzedrine, Cooper did have, for those who don't know, Cooper did have drugs with him. I mean, Adderall. Okay. It's Adderall. Okay. Benzedrine was the term for pill amphetamines back then. Now we just call it Adderall. Same sort of thing. Yeah. So I just call it Adderall. So no, if you're ADHD, Adderall calms you down. Like right now, I'm not on Adderall. I mean, that's why I'm a little more hyper right now. I'm not on my meds. So it made me a little crazy tonight, but, yeah, Ryan's off his meds. All right. What does he mean by not prosecute? He's just referring to some like so Chris here is a former what are you, U.S. Marshal? Yeah, U.S. Marshal. I think he just means like in Portland or places like that where they don't prosecute shopliftings, right? And so we all have to go into a Walgreens and everything is behind a lock and key because they don't prosecute shoplifters, things like that. That's what he means. Okay, have I ever looked at John Zegru's? I have. I have. But of course, there's nothing there because it doesn't seem like that's a weird one. I should do a whole show on John Zegras because, like, I've tried. I don't think he was real. Like, it seems like possibly a real story, and I've looked up on Ancestry trying to find this guy, and I can't. So I don't think he was real. But yeah, for those who don't know, let me try to pull this up. Let me type in John Zegras for everybody. For those who don't know, there's a story about a guy who shows up in Japan. I think it's Japan in like, gosh, what year was that? Like the early 60s or late 50s. And he was a real mysterious kind of character. And I don't really know the story too much on him, but he claimed he was from a different dimension. And he had passport documents that were like from a fictional country. Okay, it's like he came from another dimension or something. And yeah, he looks rather Coopery, doesn't he? Look at that turkey neck he's got. How about that? I mean, hey, that is a very Coopery look, isn't it? That would fit right in on the sketches. I mean, it looks like the hoodlum a little bit to me. But yeah, that turkey neck, look at that. Weird skin fold. But yeah, that's John Zegras. This like fictional, I don't know if he's real or not. I don't know if it's a hoax from the 70s or 60s or something. Yeah, the man from Taurid. But he had a fictional passport. I mean, it was like from a different dimension or something. And Red Eye says that was proven to be fake. Yeah, I thought so. The last time I had looked into it, it was obviously that's why I'm saying it was a fake. There you go. Tim Carter says, I live in Portland, Oregon. Our DA for a few years would not prosecute crimes due to ideological leanings. Then you should not be a prosecutor. Like, go be king big wiener public defender then, if that's what you're into. Don't be a prosecutor if you're not going to prosecute. Looks like if Bing went to the buffet a few times. I mean, it's me. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Because people say I'm turning into what I eat. I think I'm turning into Cooper. I am 44. I am the right age then. Yes, hell yeah. In the days after the hijacking, were treasure hunters known to be out looking for the money? 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. In fact, let me, as I am noon to do, I'll just have to pull up my my trusty little book here, and I'll read to you the part about all that. Let me get all that. Let's see. About the treasure hunters. So yeah, there were definitely treasure hunters out there. All right. Let me see. Treasure. All right. All right. It says, about the law enforcement. It says, going door to door was tedious work, repeating the same questions countless times. Talking about the cops on November 26th when they showed up. Okay. Well, let me just back up a little bit for you guys. On the morning of November 26th, Thomas Manning was in charge of the investigation there. On the morning of November 26th, Manning's teams went out canvassing the search area, knocking on every door they could find. Clark County Sheriff Eugene Cotton instructed his men not to be dismissive of any leads. Quote, a good lead would look like all the others in the beginning, Cotton pointed out. In the event that any deputies or agents came upon any evidence, Manning instructed them not to disturb it before the bloodhounds got a chance to take a sniff. Going door to door was tedious work, repeating the same questions countless times. Did you hear anything out of the ordinary around 8:15 Wednesday night? Have you had anything come up missing from your property? Did you see anyone unfamiliar on the road? Will you please let your neighbors know what is going on and have them contact us if they know of anything? Their efforts were soon hindered by the arrival of unwelcome guests. Starting on the afternoon of the 26th, a flood of vehicles carrying fortune seekers began pouring into the small towns and unincorporated communities of northern Clark County. Cars full of college kids on Thanksgiving break and local farmers in pickup trucks clogged the rural roads looking for Cooper's loot. However, the novelty soon wore off, and the search team were able to refocus on the task at hand instead of dealing with the distraction caused by these amateur treasure hunters. So yes, there were lots of treasure hunters, people who showed up in the days afterward looking for, and people still do. I mean, if I lived there, I'd be looking around. I mean, you never know what you could find, but probably not much anymore. I'm turning into Tucson rather. I hope I don't turn into Tucson. That would be a nightmare. But yeah, I will probably be Tucson. If you look up Tucson's last interview, Tucson did a radio interview not long before his death. And yeah, he's very much the angry old man who never found Cooper. So that'll be me too. I'm sure in 40 years, we'll still be doing this crap. Okay. Okay. Great question there. I've never been to Portland or PNW in general. As a non-local, what was your impression of the region of the times you've been there? Okay. So I've only ever been there I've been there every year this will be my 5th CooperCon, I guess. And every time I go there, it's in November, right? So it's wintertime. My first impression was it gets dark really quickly, like very quickly, like shockingly so. Like, like 4:30, it's dark. I don't know if maybe it's an exaggeration, but it's getting, every time we leave, every time we're done with CooperCon at 5, it's dark when we walk outside. So it's dark. So Cooper certainly knew he was going to be jumping in the dark for sure. Because I mean, he surely knew it was going to take time to get his stuff. How's the heat in Jackson? It's hot in Jackson. What I'm going to tell you, it's Mississippi. The reason he wore the suit is because it went with the briefcase. I am not convinced that Cooper dressed that way every day in everyday life. I agree. There's no reason to think he wore that every day. I mean, it could have been, but just as likely it was a costume. I mean, look, McCoy wore a suit. McCoy didn't wear a suit every day. Costume. He wanted to look like a businessman blending in. Respectable, I mean, you don't want to look like riffraff because you're more likely to be profiled. Remember, that was the way they caught people back then, was by profiling. So you don't want to look like a riffraff or some dirty hippie or whatever. So McCoy wore a suit as a disguise. McNally certainly. I think Mac bought a suit. Maybe could be wrong, but yeah, McNally wore a suit as a disguise. Hahnemann did wear suits often. Okay, Hahnemann was a suit wearer, so for him, yeah, there's news articles of him. He's always wearing a suit apparently. So. But yeah, I don't think Melvin Fisher wore a suit. Not a suit guy. He was a painter by trade, a house painter. So no, I agree with you on that. No, I agree totally. I don't think there's no way to know. Can't wait for my first CooperCon this year. Hell yeah, buddy. Great to have you. Do I think the money bag is still in the mud alongside the riverbank? I mean, yeah, possibly, but the problem is, it seems like that the money was buried there intentionally. As crazy as that sounds to me, I have to go with people who are more knowledgeable than I am. And I mean, we have a river hydrologist who says that money is not going to ever be buried that deeply without human intervention. Just not going to happen. Not in that scale of time, maybe over 800 years or something, but like not in 10 years. It just doesn't happen. And he gave pretty good reasons for it. Okay. And then we have got, the evidence that the money, whenever it got wet, it didn't get wet in the wintertime. It got wet in the springtime. There's all these other things. It just seems like that the money was planted there. I have no reason. I mean, I have no idea why anybody would do that, but why would I be angry at you, Matt? What am I angry about, Max? Well, I've never been angry at you. I'm not sure what you're talking about. You're saying I'm angry at you. I'm very Yeah. I'd wear a suit because I never do. Kind of like the idea of like, this isn't to support Skip Hall, but like, what if you're a person who always has facial hair? To me, that might be the best disguise you could have, is if you're somebody who is known to have facial hair, like every photo of Skip Hall, not every photo, but like most of the photos, he has a mustache, right? So everyone knows you as a mustache guy, okay? No one is going to look at that sketch and go, oh, that's Joe Blow, the guy who always has a mustache or a beard. So to me, that's probably the best disguise you could have that isn't obvious, right? Like Mac was wearing a wig that was obvious. Remember the great story about Mac when the drunk crashed into Mac's 727. Mac, they all kind of lurched over and fell down. And there is a great story of one of the stewardesses, his Tina, Sharon, reaches over and straightens his wig for him. Great story. Now, Mac disputes that. When I told Mac that, Mac was like, nobody touched me. But I think she did. I don't know why she would make that up. But yeah, Mac literally threw his hands up. Nobody touched me. And I was like, Mac, she says she did. But yeah. But yeah, so that's the best disguise that would not be like, nobody would ever be like, oh, that's a disguise. Look at this guy. Guys, no profiles like that guy's looking kind of funny. He's got some kind of fake sideburns or what, No, if you're a mustache or a beard guy, shave. Nobody's gonna look at that sketch and go, oh, that's him. So I think that's a great thing. Okay, somebody asked about Mustache McCoy shaved his. I don't think so. I mean, McCoy had a mustache at times, but I don't think he had one. Jamie Beats, it was either this or the All-Star game, so I'm here. My choice too, I said, you know what? Do I want to watch the All-Star game or do I want to broadcast for my people on Tuesdays? Seth, all right. Seth is coming. All right, buddy. You're coming to CooperCon. Wonderful. I appreciate that. Is Tina Barr intentionally misleading? I don't think so. And people say that. If you're Cooper and you want to mislead people or think you died and you bury money or whatever, you bury that near Lake Merwin is what you do. That's what you do is you bury it on the shores of Lake Merwin, because Cooper landing in the Columbia is a very, very low percentage thing, just almost impossible, basically. I mean, is impossible, I would say. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, okay. Hadn't Skip lost a considerable amount of weight around the time of the hijacking because of his hepatitis? Yeah, Skip was not a healthy guy. There's photos of him around there looking pretty tough. So, I mean, that's the defense when someone attacks Skip for being too good looking, is that he was looking pretty haggard at the time. Oh, that's too bad. The Queen won't be able to attend CooperCon. That's too bad, Your Highness. Okay. Shaving would raise questions with close relatives. Correct. Yes. So perhaps no close associates who would take note. That's what I think. Or look, I mean, you can, especially if you're a guy who has like a mustache, like a Skip Hall mustache, you can grow that in a week, or not a week, but maybe 2 weeks or something. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, great, Max. You're coming to CooperCon again. That's wonderful. Mary John's a great thinker. Mary John says, those local treasure hunters would have popped up and said they already searched by Lake Merwin in 71. Maybe Tina Barr was a genius location for a plant. I mean, yeah, maybe. Let's see. All right. Do I think Cooper lost the money in the jump? No. And the reason is because the money's on Tina Barr. Okay. Remember, how does the money get 15 miles away from where he jumps out? If the money escapes the drop zone, then the money bag escaped the drop zone and Cooper himself escaped the drop zone, right? The only other scenario is that he lost the money and somebody found the money and then decided to go 15 miles away and bury some of it. Or somebody found his dead body and buried his dead body and they carried the money off somewhere and buried it on Tina Barr for some reason. You know, I think it's way more likely that the money escaped Tina Barr because Cooper himself escaped. I mean, the money escaped the drop zone because Cooper himself escaped the drop zone. That's what I think. Does the FBI still have the partial prints? Yes, they do. Of course they do. They're not going to release it though. And because it's an unidentified person's effects, basically. Okay. So like anything that's an unidentified person or a living person, the FBI will not release it. So because they don't know who these prints belong to, they're not going to release them. Okay. It's the same. I know Flyjack, I think, put in a FOIA for the palm print, but that's not going to happen. Because I mean, if it does, maybe it'd be interesting. I hope they do. I'd carry Flyjack on my shoulders if they did that. That'd be pretty damn cool. Not sure how much it would help us, because getting palm prints from all these long dead guys is not going to happen. But it'd be pretty cool to have the palm impression. Let's see. How many people are? All right, people messaging me when I'm on the show. Come on now. The FBI have the prints somewhere safe. Not really. The FBI have the prints in a file folder somewhere. I don't know what CooperCon's looking like this year. I'm going to try to get Rob Hetty there. That's what I'm trying to get. We are going to have several suspect reveals. Should be several presentations on new suspects that nobody's heard of. Be cool. How far is Tina Barr from Ariel Bar? Oh, there's no Ariel Bar. Oh, the Ariel Tavern, I guess. 20 miles, maybe more. I mean, they're not close. Not even remotely close to each other. He stole the fishing skiff that was missing from the Lewis River. I mean, maybe. Okay. James St. James asked me earlier. He said, Ryan is still in denial about Kenny Christensen. I mean, remember, Kenny Christensen is bald, basically. This is Kenny Christensen. Believe this is his 1970 passport photo. So, no, I do not believe Cooper's wearing a toupee. And Kenny was bald, people, and he was little. He was like 5'7" or 5'8". I think he was 5'8" on his draft card, actually. So I think that's right, 5'8". So yeah, 5'8", I believe, on his draft card. This guy's small and bald. As Larry Carr said, the only thing Kenny Christensen has in common with B.B. Cooper is male genitalia. So, yeah, and Kenny had no lower lip. My God. I mean, that's another thing. You're right. Totally. I mean, geez, he's like Hahnemann there. Where is the heavy lower lip, right? I mean, where's the Cooper lip? When it comes to that, right? I mean, remember, let's look at the lips that the witnesses liked. I mean, you know, these are all the lips from suspects that they liked. Murphy's is the outlier, which of course Flyjack jumps on that. Oh, it looks like Hahnemann. Well, you see, remember, ignore everything that doesn't support your suspect and bolster everything that does. That's the way you cherry pick. Not just Flyjack, but people who have suspects. That's why I don't do that crap anymore. But yeah, look at those lips. And then look at Captain Bird lips here. I mean, just not the guy. Okay. Just not him. Sorry, St. James. I mean, find another. There's plenty of fish in the sea, my man. Plenty of fish in the sea. You don't have to go down swinging on dead suspects there. Okay. Okay. You're, oh, thank you. You're the girl dressed as a stewardess at CooperCon, the queen. Okay, that's who you are. Okay. Yes. Megan, right? Megan, is that right? Yeah, yep. I think, yeah. Megan, you were killing it. I wish I could find one of my photos there of you as dressed up as a stew. I wish I could find that. I'm trying to find that. I swear I should have had that somewhere. You would think I would. because that was really neat. It's somewhere, but yeah. Okay, you had a great outfit there, and that was great to have a picture of you with Bill Mitchell too. Okay, yes, Megan won CooperCon. Yes, she did look awesome. Yep. Let's see. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna have to find that photo of where was it? I know where I know where I can where can I find that? I know what I can do. Yeah, there we go. I'll find it. Let's see. There we go. Okay, yeah, here we go. I will upload this right now and show everybody. Megan's great outfit there. And she got her great picture with Bill here, which was a real highlight for me to have that. There we go. Megan's great outfit. Love it. Love it. Money. She definitely won Cooper. Like I said, she won CooperCon for us. Yes, I hope we can see those interviews they recorded. Yeah, I know. Yep. Matthew. Yep. Good job there. Matthew Good. Who is, do I know that guy? I say Matthew Good. Oh, that guy. Yeah. Oh, that guy was yeah. I mean, a little handsome to be, obviously too handsome to be Cooper, but I see what you're saying. Matthew Good. That's isn't that the guy who, wasn't that the guy, wasn't he in Downton Abbey? Oh, he's British. He had to be in Downton Abbey, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. What do I know that guy from? Matthew Good. What was he in? Imitation Game, right? I forget. He was Watchmen. Okay, he was in the Watchmen too. Okay. All right. Very nice. Okay. Thank you. This is wonderful. It's astonishing that anyone is still trapped in the Paleolithic era of Cooperdom. That's a wonderful way to put that. I'm going to screenshot that. Considering Christensen, Rackstraw, McCoy. I know. It's just a joke. Does Grider attend CooperCon? He came one time with McCoy's kids, actually. So yeah. The guy who played Dr. House to make a good Cooper. Yeah. My original AI Cooper was actually based on, Ryan, is Mitch McConnell dead or alive? You know, my brother asked me that last night. It's kind of funny. I was asked the same thing. Does Grider attend? No, Grider wouldn't come. Grider is a snake. Grider came with McCoy's kids though. No, the original guy I had for Cooper was the guy who, forget his name, Patrick Fischler. He's the Utz Nuts guy from Mad Men, if you remember. Jimmy from Mad Men, you know. Did not know you have a brother, Ryan. Yep, I do. Let's see. What else? Somebody, Max, what was the question you had, Max? I know you said go, don't forget your previous question. Okay. I say if Cooper was Canadian, then his original plan was to hijack a plane in Canada before Paulsini. I mean, possibly, but again, I just, you know, we can never know, but I don't like, I mean, we do have, well, look, there are plenty of examples of parallel thinking in the world, right? Movies is a great example, right, of parallel thinking. There's those famous examples, right? Like Tombstone and Wyatt Earp came out at the same time. Ants and A Bug's Life were the same time. There's other was too that were like, forget some of the others, but yeah, there's movies like that where, what was it? Dante's Peak and Volcano, Armageddon and Deep Impact, a lot of these things. And so, yeah, it could have been parallel thinking. But I've spent time at Lake Merwin. You could land there and bury money in front of people during the day, not the highest IQ demographic. That's what an ugly thing to say. Lionheart says, easy on the bald bomb. Hey man, I'm wearing a hat for a reason. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. Okay. But no, I don't, I don't like the idea of Cooper. I don't. I think I think Cooper's a copycat. I mean, I don't even think it requires that much thinking to even get there. The FBI certainly thought he was, and I have no reason to think otherwise. What about it took, again, yeah, like McCoy's hijacking, like McCoy had to plan out, like McCoy took time because he planned out his route, the degrees the plane was to follow. I mean, he had flight plans. I mean, he was like really detailed about where he was going to jump out and damn near jumped out exactly where he wanted to jump out. Okay. The Cooper hijacking, I mean, what would take time? I mean, what would take more than 10 days? I think the Cooper hijacking is a lot of just like divergent thinking. You just have to sit there and think about it a little bit. I mean, making the bomb, you can do that in an afternoon. I don't think that, I mean, I just don't see what would take that long. And especially, you know, Cooper seemed like he was winging things, right? So, you know, right. And he showed me that C&E planned his hijacking for months. There's no way Cooper planned just 11 days. Why not? Rob Hetty planned his in like 3 days or something like that. Rob just did it. I mean, I don't see that. If you could talk to one Cooper, good question. If you could, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Somebody said, okay, there we go. If you can talk, Mystery Junkie, that's a cool name. If you can talk to one Cooper suspect, who would it be? Well, whenever I discuss Cooper suspects, I have to bring up my chart, because I don't want to leave anybody off. Let me come up. Let me get my suspect chart here. Okay. I mean, I don't think any of these guys were Cooper. So who would I want to talk to? E. Howard Hunt would certainly have some stories. I don't know. Gosh, James Roman would be really, really interesting. I mean, the guy was an astronaut and a murderer and a surgeon. Milton Vordal would be really interesting to talk to about like anything, any topic in the world. I'm sure he'd talk to you about it. Ted Braden would be, I would love to hear his war stories. God, I mean, talk about a guy who would win the beer drinking war story contest at the local VFW. Braden's going to win that every time. Skip Hall was a really interesting guy. I'd want to talk to him about JFK. Let's see. Sheridan Peterson. Yeah. Would be really interesting. He led a really unique life. Interesting guy. Yeah. And Gossett, of course. Yeah. Gossett would be just fun to sit back and listen to him tell lies. That would be tremendous, I think. What do you guys think? Who would be, who would you want to talk to? Get these super chats. My God. I may have to start giving out. I don't want to do that. I hate doing that. I may have to give out a Venmo or something, because whenever y'all send a super chat, I think YouTube takes like 70% of it or something stupid like that. I may have to shift over to Cash App or something for these instead of the super chats. If you actually want the money to go to me for my morning drink or whatever. Okay, yeah. I mean, who would y'all want to? Was George Harrison? Good question. Was George Harrison's "My Sweet Lord" parallel thinking, or did he just rip off the Shiftons? I think that's parallel thinking, because there's no other. I don't know of any other examples of George Harrison being caught doing that. So I think that's. CooperCon is expensive. Yes, we lose. That's funny. The brilliant part is, like, you know, we lose money on CooperCon. We don't make money doing this. Okay, super chats. Why do you dismiss Tina Barr so easily? It's the only thing we have of Cooper outside the plane. Him or someone connected to him was there and hit it either by chance or on purpose. We have nothing else. That's the thing. There's nothing to take from it. How can you find a suspect? That's the issue. That's why I dismiss it, because it doesn't do anything for us. It's all speculative. Even if we knew exactly how it got there, let's just say, okay, we knew exactly that somebody planted it on November 30th, 1971. If we knew that for 100% fact, some individual dug out a hole and buried it on November 30th, 1971 at 12:03 a.m. Like, what does that do for us? How does that get us any closer to DB Cooper? I don't think it does. So I think it's an irrelevant data point. And I hate to be that way, but I really do. I don't think it does anything. I think nothing would change. If Tina Bar never happened, what would change? If that money had never been found, Brian would be poorer, I guess. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see what it, I mean, maybe you guys can let me know how it would help. Maybe I'm not thinking through it, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Thank you, Al Peterson, for the 10 pounds. 10 pounds, that's like $85 US, isn't it? The exchange rate, trust me. The bride is she is English, and yeah, I go to England quite frequently, and Mrs. Sleuth is English, so yeah, the exchange rate is ridiculous in England. The pound sterling is kicking the hell out of the US dollar, which is weird though, because I did hear that the UK is now poorer than Mississippi, by the way. So the UK is poorer than every single US state individually. So yeah, Ted Braden would be cool. Okay. YouTube takes super chats. News to me. I don't know if anybody. Super chat seems like a YouTube thing to me. Is there anything else that anything else uses super chat? Hey, you met George Harrison at the Boston Logan Airport '96. I'd like to hear that story. Chris, I'm gonna have to get Chris on sometime. He was a U.S. Marshal. He can tell us some cool things, cool stories, I'm sure. George's my favorite Beatle. Yeah, I'm a John guy, but George is number 2 for sure. George is a close number 2, like really close. They're real close. I love George Harrison. Yeah. Michael Moran says, writing a fully original song is impossible. There are 12 notes. Every good combination has been done many times. Pretty much. About the bomb, whether it was real or not, it was convincing enough. How would someone come by the knowledge to make a convincing looking bomb in 71? Movies, I suppose. I mean, that was the takeaway of the Delta Force guy. I forget his name, who was on Darren's podcast. Mike Vining. Yeah. Mike Vining of internet fame. He's in lots of memes. I have come to realize you'll see lots of Instagram memes about the dork Delta Force guy. And that's Mike, maybe one of the most badass soldiers in the history of the U.S. military. But Mike said that he thought it was fake because it just looked too, basically it looked too Hollywoodish is what he's saying. Like a real bomb doesn't look Hollywoodish, where it's like, dynamite strapped together with a wire coming out of it and a timer or, fuse sort of thing. He says that's a little, he thinks it's too Hollywood. Now, but it would have gone off though. They've done testing on it. I mean, it basically a whatever volt dry cell battery, a number 6 dry cell does have enough amps, volts, whatever it is. I'm not sure, whatever it is to detonate blasting caps. So could have gone off. If it was real dynamite, then it could have been set off that way. But Mike thought it was too Hollywoodish. It was meant to convey the point that this is a dangerous bomb, right? Remember Tina's comment? He made it clear to us we faced a very real and horrifying threat. I think it was meant to look that way. Okay. But it was kind of unnecessary. He didn't need to have a really convincing bomb. He could have just said there's a bomb in here and they wouldn't have taken the chance. Do I find parallels between the Southern accent and British speak? No, but it is fascinating though. That is a fascinating divergent topic. That they say that the Southern accent, because Southerners didn't have a lot of, think about this. Okay. The way to explain this is that after the big immigration waves of like the Ellis Island, Titanic, all that sort of stuff, that huge immigration wave came like in the early 20th century or late 19th century. And the South was a devastated, remember the Civil War just screwed everything. Just flattened the South. I mean, there was buildings burned to the ground. It was a disaster still recovering. There are still ruins from the Civil War. People don't believe that. There are plenty of ruins from the Civil War just sitting there. Buildings that are collapsed or whatever, and they're still there because they were built so well. But, basically, nobody moved to the South. Okay. None of these immigration waves moved to the South. So the Southern accent, the drawl that you hear, is the same way people talked back then, basically. And the thought is that that is how people used to talk in England too. RP, like royal pronunciation, like Mrs. Sleuth speaks, is not very old. It's actually 100. Less than 100 years old. Basically, it's not an old accent. So royal not royal, or it's called received pronunciation. I forget, but they have figured out though that Old English is way more like Southern American English, closer to anything else. And that is why if you go to the Globe Theater, if you go see Shakespeare at the actual Globe Theater, they have determined that the Shakespeare, like the pentameter or whatever it's called for the rhythm of Shakespeare, if you do it in a drawl, it's a million times more fluid. And it's like, oh yeah, things even rhyme better. It's like, oh yeah, duh. So it's really interesting. So if you go to seriously, if you go there, they sound like Southerners talking. They will say, he who today sheds his blood with me shall be my brother, be he ne'er so vile. Not be he ne'er so vile. Instead of, I'm Laurence Olivier, be he ne'er so vile, shall threaten his condition. No. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers, for he who sheds his blood with me today shall be my brother, be he ne'er so vile, shall gentle his condition. Not, be he ne'er so vile. And so it's like, yeah. And so our accent never changed because there were no immigration waves coming to the South to change our accent. So it's never changed. And so the thought is that colonial Americans had a drawl and that English people back then had a drawl. And that's where it comes from. Our accent just never changed. So this is how people used to talk in England, apparently. And if you think about it, like pirates, pirate speak, arg, matey. It's like, that's kind of a drawl. So that's probably what it sounded like, arg, argon element, baby. I'll fight with thee alone because I do hate thee. Yes, good line there. We hate alike. Yes. BBC speak. Yeah, that's okay. Cooper. Okay, back to the Cooper stuff. So, the modern British accent is a form of, it's from the radio. Yeah, it's the same way. It's like the transatlantic accent that, like, Katharine Hepburn and all these people from, like, all the old actors, they didn't talk like that in real life. That was their stage accent. And it's because on radio, they needed to really enunciate things. And so they talk like this and had this really clear accent. And it's just like this kind of weird thing. Australians are British Texans. That's funny. That's funny. I think Australians, I feel like that, didn't they send like prostitutes to Australia to like help them populate? Something like that. Oh, nice super chat. Thank you so much. Klon as Steve Dream Killer. When I lived in England, I met a guy who was from Mississippi, but had lived in the UK for 40 years. And he had this hybrid accent. It was super cool. Yeah. I spent a semester of college, a semester of law school. I spent a semester of law school at Cambridge in England, at Downing College in Cambridge, which is part of Cambridge, of course. And yeah, it's weird when you live somewhere, you start kind of talking like them. Even after living there for just a semester, I started talking like that, or a little bit. You can't help it. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that, you guys. Okay. Some say Shakespeare makes more sense in a Southern accent. It does, actually. I mean, that's not even like a question. I think it's been like kind of proven now. They do it. Like they will do it at the Globe Theater. William T. Sherman always called Southerners cavaliers, was never sure what he meant. Yeah, it's basically, I explained this to Mrs. Sleuth the other day about the Civil War. There's a famous kind of essay about Southerners in the Civil War called "The Confederates Are Barbarians." And yeah, I mean, Southerners are almost exclusively Scotch-Irish. You have some, obviously, have French in Louisiana, but like almost exclusively Scotch-Irish is in the South. I mean, for example, I only knew, literally, and this is like, people are gonna blow your. I mean, and I grew up in I grew up in Jackson. I mean, it's a city of, I don't know, 500,000 people, bigger than that. I mean, whatever. I mean, it's not like in the middle of nowhere. And I only knew one Jewish person until I was like 18, until I went to college. I only knew one Jewish person. I only met one Jewish person. And I didn't know many Catholics either. So like, we are waspy down south. Okay. I mean, waspy as it gets, just especially in the deep South. That's just our ethnicity, I guess, for white people at least. But yeah. Okay, back to Cooper. Sorry. Now I'm sitting here quoting Shakespeare in Creole. Now that's interesting. I only met two until college living in New York. Yeah, so there you go. I only met two until college living in New York, in North Carolina. And I live near a military base. Yeah, it's just, okay, direct all questions about the South to the late, great Shelby Foote. Hey, the best compliment I ever received in my life came from Chris Cunningham. Chris Cunningham said, I am the Shelby Foote of the D.B. Cooper world. And that was a great compliment. For those who don't know Shelby Foote, if you want to hear the best Southern accent you've ever heard, look up Shelby Foote talking about the Civil War. If you can make war a 4-syllable word, you were a Southerner from back in the day. You had this old accent. I mean, like this accent is dead as hell, but look it up on the YouTube. When you're done here, look up Shelby Foote, like just the best accent you've ever heard. He had some great, there's an old Southern boy. He has this great, he goes, there was a senator from South Carolina or somewhere over there who said that there would never be a civil war, and he offered to wipe up all the blood spilt from the Civil War with his pocket handkerchief. I've often considered that somebody could probably get a PhD for calculating how many pocket handkerchiefs it would take to wipe up all the blood from the Civil War. There's also the great story. I think my favorite story he tells. He goes, Shelby Foote, those don't know, Shelby Foote wrote like the book on the Civil War. It's like 2,000 pages or something like that. And it's really good. And Shelby said that after I'd written my book, it took him 20 years to write this book. Now, it took me 3 years to write the Cooper book, but it took him 20 years to write this book. He said, after I'd studied the Civil War for so many years, I thought about how the Civil War had made two geniuses. I thought about it, and it was Abraham Lincoln and Nathan Bedford Forrest. And I called up Nathan's granddaughter who lived here in Memphis a while back, and I told her this. I said, I think two geniuses came out of the Civil War, your grandfather and Abraham Lincoln. And there was silence on the other end. And then she said, well, Mr. Foote and our family, we're not too fond of Abraham Lincoln. It's like, he's like, I'd insulted her by bringing up Abraham Lincoln all these years later. Yeah, but Shelby's funny. Shelby's great. There's the one where he goes, a young Southern boy was brought before General Lee. He had done some infraction, and he was just trembling with fear. He says, you imagine being 18 years old and brought in front of General Lee? He goes, boy, I was trembling with fear. And General Robert E. Lee said, son, don't be nervous. You'll find justice here. He goes, that's what I'm afraid of. Like, okay, funny. Yeah. His recounting of the death of Stonewall Jackson's good too. Yeah, it's just Shelby's a fascinating individual. Just great, interesting guy. Was court-martialed in World War II, which is interesting. He was court-martialed. That's an interesting story. Best friend of Walker Percy. Some of you might know Walker was a poet. He's very good. Sounds more reenactment. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, okay. Sorry, folks. Again, hey, man, it's my show, and by God, I will talk about what I want. And if I want to talk about the Civil War for 2 hours, I'll talk about the Civil War. Better than foghorn leghorn. People that still say automobile. Yeah, Shelby Foote punched out his CEO in World War II. I don't know if he may have, but yeah, it was over. He was an officer too. Shelby was an officer himself, and yeah, they got into something. I think he was going to visit a girl in Ireland, I think, and took a Jeep, I think, and came back late or something like this. Have I heard Shane's bit on Shelby Foote? Oh yeah. Shane's so good when it comes to history. Shane's a history nerd, like a lot of us. That's why I like Shane Gillis. I don't know how many days Rob Hetty planned. It wasn't very long. I mean, Hetty told the media, I just thought of it and did it. So, yeah, we should do a non-DB chat. Well, thank you. I mean, do you say y'all? Of course, y'all. Hey, man, y'all is the best. Like, I know Yankees, I know Northerners who will say, yeah, y'all is the best way to say it. It's better than saying you guys, or like y'all is a very like efficient. Y'all is a very efficient term. Okay. It just kind of encompasses a lot of things. You can say it very quickly. Shane's a West Point guy. Yeah. Who got kicked out. Or no, he quit. He quit West Point, didn't he? Yeah, he quit. Shane is a West Point guy though, but he did quit. I use y'all in New England. But you should. Y'all's you can say y'all. It's better than saying you guys. Forrest was the most gifted cavalry commander of the war. Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. For sure. It's a bit of an interesting character, but yeah. A massive slaver. Not a good man. Not somebody you want to hang out with, but very good. Had 20, what the saying was, he had 28 horses shot out from under him, and he had taken out 29 Yankees. So he came up ahead in the end of the war. Yeah, Forrest was crazy. Look up Nathan Bedford Forrest at Shiloh. That guy had a friggin' sword and was just whacking people with this thing. Pretty wild. I grew up in the same town as Stonewall Jackson was killed in. Chancellorsville? Yep. Shot by his own troops. That's the bit that Shane Gillis does about Stonewall Jackson. That's great. He's like, could you imagine being the guy who shot Stonewall Jackson? If those don't know, Stonewall Jackson was like the second in command of the Confederate Army. Great general, shot by his own troops, lost his arm, got pneumonia, died. So the South's best general was shot by his own troops on accident. I mean, he was wearing a black raincoat and there were Northern cavalry around. So some skittish Southern just shot him. But like Shane's got a great bit where he says, imagine being the guy who shot Stonewall Jackson. You go home, your wife's like, hey honey, how was the war? Let's not talk about it. It's like, I shot the general. Yeah, no thanks. Your favorite Southern thing is double contractions. Wouldn't have and shouldn't have. Yeah, I heard a triple, quadruple negative one time in college. I had a lunch lady one time in college. I wanted to get, she was like a Creole woman or something. She was in the cafeteria in college at Ole Miss. She was from Louisiana and she was like a Creole. And I wanted to get seconds on the shrimp. And she was trying to say I couldn't get seconds on shrimp. I was like, oh man. But she goes, can't not now get no seconds on those scrimps. And I was like, what? He goes, can't I not get no seconds on those scrimps? What? Can't not now get no seconds on no shrimps. I was like, can't not now get no. It's like somehow that probably equates to I can get shrimps. Like quadruple negatives. Ryan, what is second person narrative? I don't know. You tell me. I'm a writer. I should know these things. Gettysburg National Park has great lectures on the war. Gettysburg is a cool ass place to go. Hell yeah. How about the classic Midwest? Yeah, no, yeah. You know what's some people don't get accents. Bob Edwards, Dr. Edwards, right? Was convinced for some reason. I don't know why. And this is why me and him, this is why he doesn't talk to me anymore. But he was convinced for some reason that the audio tapes that Nikki and I had were fake or whatever. And he thought, I think he was trying to say that I was doing the Paul Soderlund voice. Because like he was telling Pat Bolin that the Paul Soderlund voice sounds like a Southern accent. I'm like, you won't get very far going down to Medford, see? Well, your first thing to find out is whether the guy has jumped out the back. It's like, Paul Soderlund has the most Minnesota accent you could ever find on planet Earth. In that audio. That is the farthest thing from a Southern accent you could find. You've heard Gettysburg is haunted. I have had, look, I do not believe in supernatural things, and that's not my thing. But I tell you what, I have had a weird experience at Shiloh. You go to enough Civil War battlefields, you will feel cold spots. I swear to God, you will feel cold spots. And there are mass graves everywhere. You know, it's the saddest thing I heard one time. I read a diary from a Civil War soldier one time. And in his diary, he said his fear was being thrown in a mass grave, because whenever they would bury people, you win a battle, they just chunk the Yankees or the South. Whoever the losing side would just get chunked in a ditch. And he said that scared him. He said that bothered him, the thought of just being tossed in a ditch. And he wasn't afraid of dying in the war. He was just afraid of being thrown in a ditch. And yeah, sad. Drew, there's Drew. Hey, Drew. Drew, I'm supposed to have Drew Beeson on some point to talk about Yuba County 5. We screwed ourselves with Jackson. Yes, Southerners, even though we do not support the cause, Southerners are still. We still say it's weird. We still say we when it refers to the Civil War, because Southerners versus Northerners, it just is what it is. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It's like, there's that great, was it Theo Vaughn, Mike Rowe. Theo Vaughn was talking about going to Civil War reenactments in Louisiana, and Mike Rowe was like, "Who'd you cheer for?" And he was like, "What do you think?" it's like, okay, we know the cause. We know the cause was the most horrific cause you could fight for, okay? But we still weirdly refer to it as we, because it happened to us, I guess. Again, the remnants of the Civil War are still. I grew up you grew up around Civil War battlefields. We owned property. You've never felt a cold spot. Well, I have. I did at Shiloh, and it freaked me out. I didn't like it. Have I read Company H? I did. I own a special copy of it too. Yeah, I love Company H. There's a really interesting discussion about sex in that book. Company H was written by a guy who fought in the Civil War, Sam Watkins, for the 1st Tennessee Infantry. The guy was everywhere in the war. And there's an interesting sex story in there. He talks about going to a farm or something and hooking up with a farmer's daughter during the war. And the way he phrases it, you would, if you catch it, you're like, oh. But he tells this whole story. It's an entire story about him and this lady. And it's got nothing to do with sex, but everything to do with sex. It's like she's not going out to eat with her. Oh, yeah, we went to, and I said, will you pass the butter? And she passed the butter. It's like, it's this crazy thing that this guy wrote in the 1860s. Sam's best story, though, is when he joins the cavalry. See, in the South, if you had a horse, you were in the cavalry, okay? In the North, they were so rich. They had horses. You could just join the cavalry, and here's your horse. But in the South, if you had a horse, you were in the cavalry. And everybody wanted to be in the cavalry because they're not walking around all day. You're not walking 30 miles a day in terrible shoes. So Sam, though, finds a horse. Somehow Sam Watkins, Soldier Sam, finds a horse. He's like, yes. He jumps on the horse, and he's going to join the cavalry. And there's this, and he tells a story. He's like, I rode up and down the lines of my infantry, all my buddies. I was like, yeah, I got me a horse. Woo! Whipping his hat off. And he says, like, an hour later, boom, a shell hits his horse, and the horse dies. And he says, yeah, I had to like walk back to my unit with my head down. I was like, what happened, Sam? It's like, let's not talk about it. But yeah. If Stonewall Jackson lived, would the South have won? No. Nope. I'm with Shelby Foote. Shelby Foote, who said, the South never had a chance to win that war. He goes, he makes a great point. Basically, everybody, every man, every able-bodied man from 15 to 60, okay, was drafted in the southern states, basically. Okay, we had everybody in the war who could fight in the war. Okay, yet in the North, as Shelby Foote points out, the Harvard-Yale boat races were going on. The Transcontinental Railroad was being built. All these students were at Harvard and Yale, and none of them ever thought of volunteering to join the Army because the Army didn't need them. As Shelby says, if the South had had many more victories and a lot more victories, he goes, the North fought the Civil War with one hand tied around their back. If the South had a lot more victories, they'd have just untied that other hand. The South never would have won. The only possible way would have been European intervention. And yeah, I felt nothing at Franklin too. Franklin battlefield. I didn't feel anything there, but definitely felt it at Shiloh one time. It freaked me out. Drew says he bleeds for Dixie. Thank you for the super chat, John Cooper. It's been 160 years. We need to get over it. I agree. Okay. The book reads weird. You talking about Shelby Foote? Yeah. Oh, wait. Oh, no, Company H. Yeah, Company H. It does read weird. You're right. It absolutely does. All right. I mean, look, Shelby Foote on what on whether he would have fought if he would have fought in the Civil War. He says I'd have gone with Mississippi. Me too. Everybody would have. I mean, this is stupid. This is the thing that bugs me, is revisionism, like historical, like I wouldn't have done that. You don't know that. I mean, people are all products of their time. We're all products of our time right now. Okay, and look. Yeah, I mean, I've done the research. 13 of my great great grandfathers fought in the Civil War for the Confederacy, of course, because they were from the South. That's where they lived. Remember, back in that era, Americans were not Americans. They were basically from their state. So, for example, and you can look this up. If a guy from, I don't know, Virginia or somewhere went to Europe in 1850, so before the war, he would say, I'm from Virginia. He would say, I'm from the U.S. I'm from America. He would say, I'm from Virginia. I'm from Mississippi. I'm from Michigan or wherever, like Shelby Foote, again, the guy, he's the god of the Civil War academia, kind of thing. He said, the true effect of the Civil War is that it made an are and is. And what he means by that is before the Civil War, and this is true too, before the Civil War, grammatically speaking, it was often written, the United States are going to do, like, for example, like, I don't know, the Mexican-American War, as it would be reported in England. The United States are going to war with Mexico. And after the Civil War, it was always referred to as the United States is. Okay, so it really solidified the idea of a country, okay, not a bunch of different states. But I mean, if you think about it, like, America is so big. Like, for example, England, people don't realize this. England is only 1,000 square miles bigger than Mississippi. That's it. England. So, yeah, we are like individual countries, really, in a way, in America, and Europeans Europeans do not understand that until they come here. They're like, oh yeah, you are like different countries, different people, behaviors, accents, culture, climate. So, all right. The 20th Maine held the line at Little Round Top. They sure did. That's a cool place to visit. Little Round Top's neat. You can easily fit Germany inside Texas with room to spare. Yep. Yeah, the European mind cannot comprehend it. They just don't until they come here. All right. Yeah, you did what your neighbor did. I mean, everybody's going to fight for their state first. I mean, back then, come on, people. It's just, I mean, this is a time when people didn't travel more than 20 miles from their home their whole life, right? So, of course, you're going to, there's Shelby Foote again, right? Tells a famous story about, some ragged rebel being surrounded by a bunch of Northern soldiers, during like the Vicksburg campaign or something. And they ask him, this guy clearly didn't have money to have slaves or anything like this. And they go, why are you fighting this war? And his response was, because you're here. Well, satisfactory answer, right? The South was invaded by the U.S. Army, right? The U.S. Army, nobody benefits, from an army either coming into your town and burning it down. Okay, so like, yeah, of course so yeah, Southerners, regardless of the cause, fought for that. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Can we talk about, talk about Cooper? I'm sorry, people. We're talking about Civil War. People, I still have 200 viewers, but sorry for the Civil War talk. This is the Cooper thing. We'll talk about Cooper. Let's talk more about Cooper. What are we going to talk about with Cooper? And we've been through the Heinemann stuff, today. Oh yeah, one thing I did point out on the Facebook group today is the difficulty with suspects who are copycats because they're in the media all the time, right? I mean, these, for example, let me pull up. Let me pull this up. For example, McCoy's photograph, McCoy and Heinemann. Again, we're talking about Heinemann, right? These guys were all over the freaking the papers for all of the areas. So for example, let me just show you guys examples. McCoy, okay? Here's McCoy on the front page of the Seattle Post-Intelligencer. Okay, so any of the eyewitnesses who were Seattle people, like Gregory, Lebissonier, all of them, they'd have seen that front page, right? What about the stewardesses? There, the Minneapolis Tribune, that's where the stewardesses lived. Law enforcement student held on high. There's McCoy on the front page. What about Hal Williams, Dennis Lisney, people in Portland? There you go, the Oregonian, front page. Okay, same with Heinemann. Look at that. Minneapolis Tribune. Okay, Heinemann. Oregonian, Heinemann. Minneapolis Star, Heinemann. Seattle Post-Intelligencer, Heinemann. I mean, so these people were seen, right, on the news. So I just don't think that, you know. All right. This is, hey, you know what, Darren? This is a good point. I feel like if we had access to Canadian records, we'd have solved it by now. I don't know if we'd have solved it, but it would help a lot. It would help a whole lot if we had Canadian. So like, there is no fold3.com for Canadians, right? So like, that is a problem because on Fold3, right, I can look up anybody's draft card on Fold3 and I can see how tall they were, what color eyes they had, you know, things like this. There's nothing like that for Canadians. And so it's really difficult. Thank you for the super chat, John. It's difficult to, like, Lee Seller, Canadian suspect, right? I can't find info on him. The guy who, what's his name? The guy who was on Unsolved Mysteries that they found. Oh, somebody messaged me about this guy. What's that guy's name, people? Come on. He was kind of like a con man. He disappeared, he disappeared on his family around that time and then came back like 15 years later and he was on Unsolved Mysteries and has a great Cooper look. What's that guy's name? Come on. Maybe I have it in the suspects. I think he's in the random suspects folder. Let me see. Where is it? Yeah, this guy. Okay. Yeah, somebody sent me this graphic. I didn't make this graphic, but yeah, it's that guy. This is that guy. What's that? I forget what the guy's name is. But yeah, I mean, that guy has a very, very Coopery face, does he not? I mean, very, very Cooperish. You would definitely say narrow base nose, head shape. Remember, we have two examples of Cooper's head shape being picked out by passengers out of the catalog. Robert Gregory picked this head shape out for Cooper. Okay. Which again, not very much like Heinemann at all. And Alice Hancock picked out this dude here. Look at that guy. Oh, hey, Beavis. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's like Butthead, isn't it? From Beavis and Butthead. But yeah, so those are the heads. Okay. And this dude's got that head in spades, does he not? So yeah, I forget what this guy's name was. Somebody in the comments. Arsenault, that's it. Arsenault. Thank you there. Arsenault, yeah. So this was a Canadian guy who went missing around the time of the hijacking, he had a phony, he was living under an alias like his whole life, I think. He was married under an alias. On the Cooper show? No, he was on his own show, Drew, his own Unsolved Mysteries episode about him. Is that what you're thinking of? Were some of the suspects trained in a low altitude 3-touch jump? I don't know what that means. 3-touch jump. Probably. I mean, there's a lot of paratrooper suspects or skydive paratroop types like Braden and these people who are suspects who, I mean, Braden pioneered halo jumping. He was a literal, there's just like Chuck Yeager's a test pilot. Ted Braden was a test halo jumper for the military. Like he was one of the guys who did that for the first time. So do you think Cooper knew Paul Cini personally? No, there's no reason to think that. No reason to think that. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if Paul Cini had a lot of friends to begin with. Is it possible Cooper could be Australian? I mean, no. I mean, Cooper could be anything doing an accent, if I guess, but we don't know. But I mean, I'm not gonna say it couldn't be. You know. But yeah, those somebody asked about Heinemann, like why does Flyjack? Well, I mean, look, I have theories on why does Flyjack think Heinemann was Cooper. I find it odd. It is odd. And I honestly think the reason is that he's not somebody who likes to admit ever being wrong. In fact, I've never seen him admit he's wrong on anything, even when he's demonstrably wrong on things, and you are, Flyjack, on things. I think he doesn't like to admit he's wrong. And what greater thing could he admit he's wrong on than his suspect, right? I mean, Heinemann obviously Heinemann's a guy that I would have investigated for a little while. I mean, until I saw pictures of him and read about his hijacking. I mean, their hijackings were crazy different. I mean, like wildly different. Okay. They're not the same guy. Heinemann made no attempt to stay hidden from the passengers. He was putting guns to passengers' guts in their, saying, I'll blow your brains out, and threatening people. The captain called him ruthless. Now, one stewardess said one stewardess was like, hey, he was a nice guy. So, I mean, but again, Heinemann was mentally imbalanced. I mean, the stewardess literally says in her 302s, he seemed mentally imbalanced. Okay. No one said that about Cooper. This is the opposite. Captain Scott, he's as rational as someone could be who would do such a thing. Tina Mucklow, he had no ideations of mental illness. Heinemann is just, no. The guy was a madman. And he was short too. How old is Flyjack? I don't know. He's probably a little bit, maybe, I have no idea actually. Maybe late 40s, 50s. I'm not sure. He's older than me, I think. Heinemann was on his meds for Norjack. That's what he would argue. That's the thing is everything you argue. This is the problem, right? Is like, he likes Robert Gregory. Okay. Because Robert Gregory, remember, his big thing, Robert Gregory was big on the Latin thing. Heinemann's a Latin guy, right? And Gregory picks out guys who he thinks looks like Heinemann, right? But remember, he's not picking the guys, he's picking their features out, okay? Because remember, he picks women out too, okay? But problem is, when you bring up the fact that Gregory picked this head out for Cooper, I mean, that's not this guy. That's not that these heads are very different. All right. Like these are different guys. Or, where do you come up with like this being the same guy? Or hell, I mean, what about this? How in the world do you interact with this guy and come up with this? Or, where do you get this guy from this? I mean, these are different people. Okay. They're different people. And remember, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but the Heinemann sketch, right? I mean, the Heinemann sketch looks like Heinemann. Bing does not look like Heinemann. Okay. This isn't complicated. How could they possibly get? It's the same damn sketch artist. It's Roy Rose for both of them. So how could they get so colossally wrong on the Bing sketch and so close enough on the Heinemann sketch? I mean, yeah, the hairline's a little different. The nose is certainly smaller, but I mean, that's the same guy. You'd be like, oh yeah, that's the same guy. Nobody would look at the Bing sketch. Oh yes, that's the same guy as Heinemann. Like, just come on. Look at the little lips. It's just not the same guy. But when you cannot admit you're wrong on tiny things, you're never going to admit you're wrong on it. I mean, Yeah, and here about Heinemann, his passport photographs were displayed to the to the following members of the airlines, and they all said it was him. So like, that's, I mean, I don't know. Like, it outright says, if you look at this, if we go back and look at the comment here there on 661, bears no resemblance to Cooper. So they say, the stewardess has said Heinemann's photograph bears no resemblance to Cooper. What? No shit. I mean, no shit. Of course it doesn't. Because they're not the same guy. Come on, people. Come on. How close am I to making my own documentary? What do you mean by that? I'm not sure what you mean. My own documentary? I think it is. Yeah, I think. Is Alex Cooper Arsenault? Isn't that the same guy? Wasn't his name Alex Cooper? Wasn't that his like fake name? Yeah, I think his fake name was Alex Cooper. This guy. Am I wrong? Am I right? Nikki, hello? This guy wasn't his fake name Alex Cooper, and his real name was something like Arsenault or something like that, right? So I think that's why he was kind of intriguing. Yeah. Yuba County 5 is perplexing. Yeah, we'll get there eventually. We'll have Drew on, talk about his. Drew's got his book on the Yuba County 5. You talked about a woman at CooperCon talking about the Somerton man. What was that about? Well, that was the lady who solved it. She was there. Colleen Fitzpatrick, the #1 forensic genealogist in the world, came to CooperCon to talk about DNA and Cooper and stuff, which is cool. Thank you, Chris Cunningham, for that connection. Yeah, she solved the Somerton man mystery. He was just some guy. He was no Soviet spy, nothing intriguing. Turns out he was just like a local guy. And like, for some reason, nobody was like, oh yeah, that's Bob. Like, where were his people who knew him? But no one ever did it. It's like this. Mrs. Sleuth told me a great story, and I should do a video on it someday. There was a guy who went up on a hill, a moor in Scotland, and like just died of a heart attack or something like this, right? He had like left his family, and then he like went up and died or something like this. And he just died there, and they made a sketch from his face. Okay, they made it from life. I mean, it wasn't the eyewitness sketch; it was the face from his dead body, right? And they plastered it all over like Europe. It was all over the news. This sketch of this dead man's face, right? And the family were looking for this guy, and they just never saw the sketch publicized. And remember, this is before the internet with Cooper. If you don't see the newspaper articles that have that sketch, you're never going to see it. I mean, it's not like it's on Instagram or whatever. Every time you swipe, you're going to see that, you know? So it's possible that that sketch looks just like DB Cooper. And it's possible that sketch looks just as close to Cooper as that looks to Heinemann. So close enough, right? And maybe nobody saw it who knew that guy or thought about, or maybe they saw it and didn't think it was Steve or whatever, you know? So yeah, you know, so yeah. I don't know how close am I to making my own documentary. I don't know. I think I'm making a little movie with my little AI people, but maybe I'll show it at CooperCon. I don't know. But do I know if the FBI found any suspects were found in the hospitals? Yeah. The FBI, they got one suspect. I read about him. This guy's name was Harry Kronk. He was a truck driver who turned up. The doctors contacted the FBI, I think, after he had been there, and they said this guy came in, didn't want to talk about his injury, was kind of belligerent, and maybe you should look into him. And they did, and you know, he was a Marine and all this other stuff, but it turns out he had like hurt himself on his truck. He was a truck driver, and his physical description was not even close to Cooper. He had blonde hair and a kind of a blockhead, and it just was no resemblance to Cooper at all. But yeah, that was the only one I know of the only lead that I know of who came from somebody who went into a hospital to get checked out. Did DB Cooper forget to bring his prescription glasses? If he was Heineman, I guess he did. Because, you know, nobody saw Cooper wearing Mr. Magoo glasses, Harry Carey glasses, or like in the military, they call them BCGs, right? Birth control glasses in the military. Nobody's wearing those. Let's see. Who was the 28-year-old who died of internal injuries in a hotel? Oh my God, that dude. Yeah, that guy. That guy, I've never been more upset about anything in my life. I don't think, as far as like Cooper goes, than when I found out that guy's age. I was so certain we had Cooper, and I will tell the story again. Basically, a guy reaches out, and he's a doctor, and he says that his brother died in 1971. And that he thinks his brother was Cooper. Now, we get emails like this a lot, people who are Cooper researchers. I'm not sure. I think this guy reached Bruce first, maybe, and Bruce sent him to me and Pat, maybe. I'm not sure. I forget. But anyway, I talked to this guy on the phone for like 2 hours. He's a respected surgeon, not somebody who's seeking money or fame. He goes, I think my brother was DB Cooper, and here's why. So this guy's brother, okay, and I won't mention, out of respect, I won't mention where they were from or whatever. I mean, we are Cooper sleuths. Maybe you guys can figure it out, but I don't know. But anyway, this guy committed, like, he was a young guy, and he was a skydiver, hang glider, pilot, Vietnam veteran. And he came back and he is like very similar to Frank Abagnale, but in real life. I mean, Frank Abagnale's turned out to be a big fraud, apparently, but this guy was legit, went to prison and stuff for these things. He pulled off, like, when he was like 23 or so, he pulled off, like, and I didn't know his age at this time, but he pulled off this huge embezzlement, the biggest embezzlement ever for this particular state he lived in. Okay. The Midwest state, and went to prison for it. But before he went to prison, before he was caught, he used his embezzlement money to buy, I think, 2 727s. And this is all verified. Like, this was not this guy bullshitting. Like, I researched this, and this is true. He bought this guy was a young guy. He bought 2 727s, okay, with all this money. And he was going to rent them out to, like, sports teams and things like this. It was kind of I don't know, whatever he was going to do, but it was a business he was contriving. So he bought 727s, skydiver, major freaking criminal. Okay. This guy goes to this is verified. Okay. I'm shaking my camera here. I may change my focus on this stupid thing. There we go. I'm not, okay. I'm focused properly now. This guy was verified to have done all this. Okay. He goes to, he turns out he is in Port. Okay. I'll tell the story a better way. Okay. Let me just back up. November 30th, this guy is back in his hometown. Okay. Dies in a hotel in his hometown. This is after getting out of prison. Okay. He buys this buys these 2 727s. Maybe it's one, but he buys 727s or one of them. Then he gets busted and arrested for the embezzlement. Okay. And he goes to prison for this embezzlement. Okay. When he gets out, he is despondent, according to his family. He is ruined. He's like, I'm ruined. I'll never be able to do this again, that again. And he's just like skinny and just whatever. And he gets out in like October of 71. Okay. And ends up dying like a month later. Dies November 30th, I think, of 71 in his town. And when in a hotel, not with his family, but in like a hotel, okay, he's found dead. And his body, when they did the autopsy, he had overdosed on pain meds. Okay, so he was classified as an overdose of pain meds, of hydrocodone, things like that, right? And but the autopsy also showed massive internal injuries. Okay, so he was hurt somehow. Okay, and they don't know how he was hurt. This focus is still screwing up, isn't it? What are we doing here? Okay, this guy, his family, I can remember, he dies in November 30th, 1971. A week later, after he dies, his family gets a call from the Portland, like Hilton or whatever it is. Okay, and they say, "Hey, we traced this number from a credit card that was used here. We're looking for so and so." And they go, "Oh, well, he died last week." And they go, "Oh, well, we have all his effects in our hotel. He left. The last we saw him was November 23rd. Okay. The last we saw him in the hotel was November 23rd. He never came back in. Never came back into the hotel. Left all his shit here. If you want it, we'll mail it to you. If you pay, basically, if you make sure the credit card payment goes through for the hotel, we'll send your stuff back." And they did. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is Cooper. Dude gets out of prison, knows 727s, is a hang glider, has nothing to lose. Okay. Goes to Portland. Okay. Does the hijacking, gets hurt in the maybe loses the money and gets hurt somehow in the internal injuries. Maybe he crashes into a tree, right? And then just says, "Screw it. I'm not going back to my hotel. F it." Just goes home to die, basically. But they say, everything you say before the word "but" is bullshit. So yeah, but. I was like, well, what was his age? Oh, he was 24. No! Like, just freaked out. And I'll show you his photo. Even his photo is rather Coopery. But he's just too young. Just too friggin' young. And it is a damn shame because, good Lord, he is a freaking good suspect here. Check out his face here. You see that? Can we see that? Yeah. That's him. Oh yeah. And I think they were Greek, maybe. So you can see his skin tone there. Yep. Pretty wild there. Let me see if I've got another one of him. Let me try to. Okay, so I'm gonna have to crop this one real quick, folks, so I don't give out his info here. All right, let me do that. Okay, I'll show you a better photo of this guy. But yeah, just enraged that he was that young because there's no way that Cooper was that young. I mean, just not going to happen, right? Here it is. All right. He even has a turkey neck, but just too young. There he is. I mean, look at that nose, right? Look at the nose, the lower lip, the coloring. So this guy is in Portland the night before the hijacking, never comes back to his hotel the day of the hijacking, dies a week later of a drug overdose with massive internal injuries. He had just got out of prison, knew 727s, was a skydiver, was a crook, a major crook. So, I mean, come on, man. Yeah, his hair that's exactly right. His hair, that's the main thing. His hair is too much. Now his, yeah, I agree. I mean, this is when he went into prison though. So I think that, he would be a lot skinnier when he came out. His head would be a lot skinnier, I think, when he came out. But yeah, this guy, really interesting, but just way too young to be Cooper. But now, his brother said though that he used to disguise himself to look older because he said that he was a con man. If he went into a bank to go con the bankers, he would do things to make himself look older, so they wouldn't think he was just some 23-year-old punk who was messing around with him. So that's what his brother said. Now, like I said, I have no reason to doubt his brother. And so, yeah, interesting guy there. Interesting guy. But yeah, the hair just doesn't. Yeah, Cooper's full of weird coincidences. Obviously, that guy is. That guy's about as. I mean, good God, the timing is just. If you could invent, like, if I was writing a Coopery story, I would write that guy's story. I mean, that would be, a story. It's like Ted Braden in a way, like Braden. Like Braden, often, like, if you had a 5,000-foot view of the Cooper case, and you were given an assignment to, like, come up with DB Cooper, what kind of guy he was. And not when you're getting into the real weeds of it, but like if you had if you just gave somebody a sheet of paper, what kind of guy do you think this was? You would like invent Ted Braden, basically. I feel like you have this it's basically a skydiving master criminal with not scared of a damn thing. Okay. Skip Hall's another guy. Yeah. Skip Hall's life is a guy who would do something like this, I think. I mean, Skip Hall became Walter White, literally, later on, and led the FBI on a 3-continent chase for years. And yeah, the toupee, I cannot get around Cooper wearing a toupee, and I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean, maybe Himmelsbach's mom was Florence. I didn't realize his mom was named Florence. That's funny. All right. Did his brother say he had an accent? Where the guy was from, I can't imagine he had much of an accent. Question. I remain fascinated by the so-called Jeffries Parish. I know it's kind of apocryphal, but is there any more info on it? No. And that's just it. There is no info. I mean, the guy said he was a military guy. He knew what a round, circular, white military canopy looked like. And he saw it in the river, hung up on the rocks next to the I-5 railroad bridge 2 days after the hijacking, contacted the police. They said, oh, it can't be Cooper's parachute because Cooper jumped out 20 miles north of here by Lake Merwin. And that's it. I mean, who would I cast as Tina and Flo in a Cooper movie? I don't know. I don't watch enough modern stuff to know. I don't watch modern TV or movies really to know who I would cast. On the Vancouver side, yes. On the Vancouver side, yep. And, I've long had the idea that if I'm Cooper and I go back to the stash spot, which is what I think he did with his car or his associate's car, accomplice's car, you throw everything in the trunk. You don't leave anything where you jumped out. You dispose of it later on. You drive to the bridge there. It's possibly 2 a.m., 3 a.m. by the time you are leaving the area. There's no CCTV cameras anywhere. There's no heavy traffic. You pull over to the side of the road and chunk it out into the river. And if somebody ever finds the parachute, then they're going to think you landed in the river. And if nobody ever finds it, then great. So, has Martin McNally ever met Rob Hetty? No. Burlington North Railroad Bridge hung up on a log 10 days later. Okay, 10 days later. Sydney Sweeney. I actually thought, that's funny. That was the name I thought about for Tina. I was like, Sydney Sweeney. Because that's the only like actors I can think of, honestly. I can't think of anybody else who are actresses. Jennifer Lawrence as Mucklow. I don't know about that. What's the chances that Cooper landed and took a train back east? I don't know. We had a railroad suspect a while back whose motive was to. We had a railroad worker who was a suspect. I don't think he's much of a suspect, but we had a railroader. Nikki says he thinks it was Cooper's chute. I don't know why. I mean, if that's true, then yeah, I bet that was Cooper's parachute. I'll go that far. I'm with you, Nikki. I think that, yeah, I'm with you, Nikki, on that. I mean, I think if they, let's just say that, I'll say this. If the story is true, if there's no reason this guy was lying, I don't think. I mean, because what did it get him to lie about this? But if that's true, and it was a military parachute style parachute, then yeah. I mean, how else could it be anything else other than Cooper's parachute? I mean, you know, parachutes don't just appear. I mean, have you people ever seen a parachute in the wild? I've never seen a parachute just sitting around open. I mean, I got them right there, but I've never seen one like in the wild, just sitting around, floating in the river or anything. So, let's see. Thank you for the super chat, Tim. Of the FBI and other professionals that you've researched that were dispatched to the case, do you think most had the capacity to deserve the case? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, sure. Larry's a really smart guy. John Detler is really smart. Okay. John Detler was a really smart guy. Rest his soul. He died a few months ago. But yeah, Detler was one of the first agents assigned to the case. Sure. Charlie Farrell, the main case agent who started the case. Very, very smart guy. Like had major degrees and things. Hemme was too biased for some reason. I think Hemme was really pissed that he couldn't catch Cooper and really had a lot of animosity toward the guy, which I understand. But yeah, I agree. How can you dismiss the parachute in the same general area? They did. And Chris Cunningham contacted the Vancouver police to see if they still had a report of all these years later. And of course they don't. But he wanted to try to find the actual police report on that call, but they didn't. They don't have their logs from back then. Max says the problem I have with Milton Bordal being Cooper is he lacks criminal history and parachuting. I agree. I mean, that's a knock on him for sure. I do think Cooper had parachuting knowledge. I mean, it just seems like so, but I mean, again, the Cooper, I hate this case. But throw my table over. Hate this case. Yes, I hate this case.
Ralph.
But that's why I hate the case, is because Paul Cini, right? The godfather of this entire heist, the paterfamilias of parachute hijacking, had never even put on a parachute before. Okay? So, I don't know. It's confounding. As I say, the Kobayashi Maru. The Cooper case is the Kobayashi Maru. Look up what that means. Will you stop going out of focus? Friggin' camera. What in the hell are we doing? Okay. It is the Kobayashi Maru. Boardwell says, I bet my life on him being a former paratrooper. There's some indications that could be lately. The fact that he took the dummy reserve might be indicative of a paratrooper, perhaps. Is Verdal still my highest suspect? No. I would say the guy who I talked about at CooperCon I would say he's number one right now. I mean, again, I'm not pushing these people as suspects, but he's the best I know of. And I know a lot of other people agree who were there, who know about that guy too. He's I don't know of anything that even remotely eliminates him. Like not even close. Like there's just nothing. He's basically flawless physically, in my opinion. I think Cini prepared wrong. Well, he was a drunk, Mary. So I don't know. Yeah. He was obsessive over dyeing his chute canopy instead of practicing jumps. Yeah. He dyed his parachute in his tub because he didn't want it to be spotted from the air. So he kind of gave it a camo kind of color, kind of a greenish sort of thing. And he took the parachute. He didn't know how to stuff it back in the container. So he bought a 6-pack of beer and went to the local military base and had them pack it. The Cooper effect is why my camera's going out of focus, says Cotty. Joseph says, true point about Cini, but if it is true to believe that Cooper checked the packing cards, that man had military parachute experience or skydiving experience. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like people ask me all the time if I could ask Tina something, what would it be? Well, I mean, I think that might be it, honestly, because I don't really know what she could offer at this point. But I would ask her if what Tusaw wrote in the book is true. If she remembers Cooper, I mean, she probably doesn't remember all these years later. It's a problem. But Tusaw says that Cooper looked at the packing cards. Okay. Nobody. I mean, I'd never heard of a packing card before I did this Cooper stuff. I mean, nobody who doesn't know parachutes really well knows about packing cards. And they're not easy to find. They're hidden in the parachute. And if that's true, then yes. Yeah. He who shall not be named is good. Yeah, he is good. He is good. I mean, the skinny on the guy, I mean, he was a felon who was a paratrooper who seemed to have reformed his life for a long time while he was in the military. He is discharged from the military in October 71. Living in California, shows up in December 71 with a lot of money. Okay. A lot of money. And it's just, yeah, he's just really good. And I don't know. I mean, that family, they're going through some health stuff. I don't want to bother them, but yeah, eventually you guys will know all about him. He's good. He's good. I mean, like I said, the only knock on him is tie particles. He has no connection to the tie, but Tom K, this guy is such a good suspect, I think, that when we got done with the presentation at CooperCon, Tom K walks out and he's like, so Ryan, let's talk about thrift stores. It was like, pretty funny, right? Because that's how good of the suspect the guy is. It's like, shit. And maybe it's a thrift store purchase. So, yeah. Anyway. Was Cini in the news in America? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Cini was front page, Chicago Tribune, New York Times. I feel like maybe it's in my Cini folder here. I think I have that. I'll show you it to you. I think that I feel like I have the Cini stuff somewhere. Let me try to find that, because I feel like I've got the Cini, like Chicago Tribune headlines and things like that. I guess I don't. Great. I hate when I can't find shit. Anyways, but yeah, no, it was front page news. I mean, absolutely. Cini was front page news in America, 100%. Will the CooperCon suspect's identity be revealed to us? The new ones? Sure. Yeah, the new ones are not going to be. Yeah, the new ones are not going to be. The only reason this was hidden is because the family are freaked out a little bit. Jason Langseth is a good suspect, but, okay. But Langseth, his photo was shown to at least one of the stewardesses, and they said it wasn't him. So that's a huge knock. I always felt that Cooper being a copycat meant he had to live in a place where the newspapers reported. Well, I mean, again, front page news everywhere. What if this guy robbed a bank the normal way? I don't know. I don't know. Joe again says, Sergeant Joe says, I was actually taught to check packing cards in the military, but not in civilian life. Of course, I had to learn how to do it because you have to show your reserve card at every new drop zone. Okay. Thoughts on he who will not be named having mob ties? His manner of death is certainly interesting. Certainly seems kind of mobbish, doesn't it? I mean, maybe a mob hit in a way, the way he ended up dying eventually. I mean, even the SR-71 couldn't find him. Well, the SR-71 couldn't see. Remember? They had cloud cover all 5 times they flew the mission. They couldn't see anything. It would be really interesting to know if, I mean, that would have been cool if they'd actually flown, because what they were looking for was the briefcase and the dummy reserve. They thought maybe that was in a field somewhere or something. I mean, likelihood it was in the woods, but it is funny though, when you read the files, you'll see the FBI being like, oh, can you spot, they're asking the SR-71 guys or whatever. They're like, oh, can you like spot it from a heat signature or whatever, like the briefcase? And they're like, number one, and it's funny, the response is in the 302. It's like, number one, a briefcase isn't going to put off a heat signature. Number two, no, we are not infrared like that or whatever. We take classic photographs and that are super zoomed in. So yeah. Well, did Cooper ever say, what are you going to do? It's a very delicate, I can't do my Tony Soprano. It's a very delicate situation. I can't do a Tony. Ryan, let's talk about thrift stores. Joe says he heard that conversation last November and laughed out loud. It was funny. Yeah, for Tom K to say that. Yeah. Who's the best suspect to this day? I mean, I think it's the guy. Again, odds that this guy's Cooper, like 1%. But when Cooper could be millions of people, when Cooper could be millions of people, then I think a 1% chance is pretty damn good. Who are we talking about? Who are we talking about? It's the new. Oh yeah, who are we talking about? Is nice. Bill Mitchell. Yeah, Bill being nice. Oh yeah, Bill's wonderful. Bill's a wonderful guy. Coop ordered a bourbon and some gabagool. Leave the cannoli. Now take the cannoli. I said, I botched that, didn't I? Take the cannoli, not leave the cannoli. An idiot. Cooper was probably familiar with military aircraft, but not so much with commercial aircraft. Yes, and rodeo, there's a reason I agree with that. Because remember, we have this weird thing. I have a whole video about this, right? Cooper may have said, when they're talking about the stairs being lowered, when they said we can't take off with the stairs lowered, Cooper, according to Tina, said that's okay. The cockpit can lower it once we're up. Now, if Cooper said the cockpit can, if he said that, then that is almost certainly a military guy. That's, because the C-130s and Caribous and the military planes that have rear ramps are lowered from the cockpit. They have controls up there. So that's Cooper probably thinking it worked like that. Okay. And so that, that's Cooper thinking that that might have worked like that. But again, it's the freaking Kobayashi Maru, this stupid thing. We have another document from Tina where she says that Cooper says, I'm not worried about the thing being lowered when we take off. We can lower it once we're up. Me and Tina. So like either he said we can lower it or the cockpit. And like, if we knew, then that would greatly inform us, because if Cooper said the cockpit can lower it, then there's no way in hell that Cooper was a commercial airline pilot or was actually really familiar with the 727s. Yeah. So, but there you go, Nikki. Nikki's right though. You're right. Nikki says, yeah, exactly. Again, it's confounding. He also used commercial lingo through like, go to your station. He so told Alice, go to your station. He used the interphone, which is kind of that's an old military word, but it's also the main word they use for phones. Yeah, there were some things that make you think he might have known 727. He knew the oxygen bottle locations. Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Joe. You're right. I thought so. Joe says, and Joe has experience jumping out of C-130s. To be pedantic, the C-130's ramp can be lowered either by the cockpit or the crew chief in the rear, but you're right. Most of the time it is lowered from the cockpit. Yes, Coop was nervous. Coop, Drew's right. A pilot would know how long it would take to refuel, which Cooper did. I mean, Cooper knew how long it took to refuel. But a pilot, though, would know you can't make it to Mexico City with flaps down and gear down on a single tank of gas. 3,000 miles. So, yeah. Jamie says, if the tie came from a thrift store, that would be the one thing Blevins got right. What's the score of the game, by the way? Somebody let me know the score of the game. Come on, National League, all right? I remember for like 20 years, the American League always won. Do y'all remember that? Like, it was like they won every year for like 20 years. Everyone was ex-military then. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, it's like AL's up 3-0. Okay. Of course, the AL's winning. Blast. Okay. 727s were used in Vietnam by Air America. Of course, they sure were. I have a video about that. Go check it out. Could have been a ruse. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, we don't, I mean, was Cooper being deceptive? Was Cooper being deceptive about certain things he knew to throw them off? I mean, possibly he was cagey enough to do his fingerprints. Somebody asked me earlier about fingerprints. What was that question? Somebody asked that question again. Somebody asked me about fingerprints. His paper bag was empty when they never found his bag. Is the NBA rigged, to be honest? No, but it's lame. It sucks. Like, it's unwatchable. At least in the regular season it is. I'm sure in the playoffs they play a little hard, but it's unwatchable. Cooper also killed Kennedy. That would be something, but I mean, look, how is there a Cooper calm without Greider? Easily. Soccer's worse. I agree. Yeah. Soccer sucks. I mean, fight me on it, people. I'm sorry. Soccer sucks. Oh, the whole world likes it. Yeah. Well, the whole world likes it because it's anybody. All you need is a ball. Okay. That doesn't, just because all you need is a ball, meaning everybody can play it, doesn't mean it's a great sport. I mean, doesn't mean it's great. It's a boring sport. It sucks. Okay. It stinks. I mean, I'm not going to feel like it's the worst sport ever. I mean, I've seen worse. Curling is a worse sport. Okay. But soccer is not some great sport, in my opinion. I'm just saying. He asked, he said, how do you obfuscate? And that's not me being a hater. That's me being an objective sports guy. I'm a sports nut. And that's me being objective. And the sport is not a good sport. It's just not. Yeah, I mean, it's just, sorry. Communist kickball. That's a funny way to put it. But it's just not a good sport. Sorry. Did the FBI collect hair samples from, that's a sore subject, Ian. Yes, the FBI did collect 2 hair samples from Cooper's seat. And they lost them. They are gone. They last saw them in 1984. They're missing. If we had those, we would easily be able to do forensic genealogy on Cooper. You give me Cooper's third cousin, I will have Cooper by 2 hours from then. Okay, yeah. But yeah. Does the FBI still have the partial fingerprints? Yes, but they don't have it. The thing with the fingerprints, okay, fingerprints is they don't have enough data points. Okay. That was the way Larry Carr described it. You know, I asked Larry, what do the fingerprints look like? What do they do? So they've got 11 fingerprints from Cooper's seat, his area. Okay. All of them are partial prints, which clearly is indicative that Cooper was obfuscating his fingerprints. Okay. And people would say maybe he wiped the seat down or something with his tie and that's why they're partial. Nope. 2 reasons why. Number one, we have his full palm print on the same seat. Okay. So if his tie was wiping a seat, then the palm print would have also been wiped down too. Number 2, the FBI files, there's a 302 in there and maybe I can read it. See, I give you things from my book, people, things that I wanted to keep from my book, but I give them out. Let me try to find where that is. Okay, maybe I don't have it. Basically, though, there's a document where it describes what the partial prints look like. And all of the partial prints have the middle part all the partial prints are just the edges. That's what it says. It says each of the prints is just the edges of the finger. Okay, which clearly somebody did something to the middle of their fingers. That's why. So, yeah. And I remember I asked John Detler, who was the first agent or the second agent assigned to the case in 70. He was there that night. You know, I asked him, you know, on stage. I was like, "Hey, did crooks used to do this back in the day? Did they put things on their fingers, or did they somehow burn off their fingertips or whatever?" And he goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "That was a problem. All the prints match Tom K." That's funny, Drew. That's a joke about the DNA matching Tom K. Yeah, they did a DNA test one time on some of the Cooper stuff, and it went back to Tom K. Oops. Modeler's glue as a disguise. Yeah, maybe so. Somebody mentioned, though, that would start to flake off after a few hours. Nail polish? Maybe so. I would have kept the cigarette butts as a souvenir, like if you're the FBI. Well, remember, though, here's something we have to remember about the Cooper case, right? Is that it was not D.B. Cooper at the time, okay? It was one of 150 hijackings that occurred in that time, in 5-year period back then, right? So Cooper was not, Cooper was not, he was unique in that he escaped, I guess, but I think they all assumed he'd be caught pretty soon. There was no need to keep anything as souvenirs at the time, right? So people make it a bigger deal than it is. And when people talk about, the FBI were hiding things, I mean, they had no reason to hide things or embellish things. It's like they say, "Oh, but the witnesses were saying this or that." No, the witnesses had no reason not to be honest, because for all they knew, the guy was going to be caught in an hour. The guy was still on the plane when people like Flo Schaffner were being interviewed. I mean, they assumed he was going to be caught. Coop was a random scumbag. Probably. I mean, who's not? Probably. Mike says it wasn't just another hijacking. It was McCoy's masterpiece. The one he didn't get nervous on, right? The one he did first. That's the best part when Greider's like, McCoy. McCoy. He improved upon the first hijacking. He got caught. Like, that's not an improvement, yo. Whatever happened to the 727 that Cooper hijacked, it was sold to Piedmont Airlines. So like big airlines like Northwest, who are Delta now, United, American, they buy aircraft from, or they sell aircraft to smaller companies when they get old. And that's what happened, is they sold it to Piedmont Airlines in like the early 80s. Then they sold it to an even smaller airline, and then it was scrapped. And then it was scrapped for metal. It was scrapped, I think, in Mississippi or maybe Memphis, somewhere around here. It was scrapped for metal. Was any other hijacker as calm as Cooper? Seems unique. I don't know of any. I don't know of any, and I study a lot of these guys. I like Felix Rodriguez as a suspect. I have no idea who that is. Tell me who Felix Rodriguez is. Did the guy with internal injuries smoke Parliament cigarettes? I don't know what cigarettes he smoked, but he was a heavy smoker, according to his brother. Speaking of McCoy, what's this about another suspect named McCoy? Well, there is another suspect named McCoy. I'm not sure what else there is to say about it. There's just another guy who is in the FBI files named Richard J. McCoy, not Richard F. McCoy. I bought the plane. It's in my basement. And I did buy a plane. I think a little Cooper plane here. Little plane there. All right. Somebody said that Flo thought that Cooper was going to come kill her. He did. Poor Flo. Yeah, Flo said that she used to check under her bed and behind her shower curtains every night. She said she would turn the key slowly to her car like it was going to blow up like Ace Rothstein in Casino or something. It's actually a really good movie about car bombs. Kill the Irishman, that's it. Isn't that it? Yeah. Kill the Irishman with the late Titus Pullo from Rome. What's his name? Ray Stevenson. Who died. I can't believe Ray Stevenson's dead. What a great actor. But yeah, Ray Stevenson's dead. Titus Pullo from Rome. Anyways, Kill the Irishman. That's what it's called. Yeah, it's about all the car bombs in like the Cleveland, like the Irish mob in Cleveland or somewhere. There was like a car bomb epidemic in like the mid 70s, I think. Ryan, what? Hello, Nikki. What do you make of Cooper's parachute request? He asked for 2 fronts. Oh God. No, don't do this. Don't do this to me, Nikki. He asked for 2 front and 2 backs instead of 2 mains and 2 reserves. Some people say he was just keeping it simple for the crew. I think so too. I mean, yeah. I mean, how else? Yeah. I mean, that's the easiest way to just say it. 2 fronts, 2 backs. There's no one's going to confuse that. But the request was ultimately being relayed to airline operations and the people sourcing the chutes who would have understood the technical terminology if Cooper really knew parachute equipment. Cooper really knew. Yeah, I don't know. How many seconds does it take to drop 10,000 feet, no pull, and how fast? I feel like somebody's calculated this. I think that Cooper would have hit the ground in like a minute. I'm wrong on that. Let me check that. Let me just do some. Yeah, I thought so. Okay, yeah. It says about a minute. That's what I thought. So about a minute is what they say. About a minute, 45 seconds to a minute. They think. Now, if Cooper pulls immediately, Joe, maybe you can help me out. I feel like if Cooper pulled immediately, I think he's going to be in the air for 15 minutes or something like that. He's going to be in the air for a minute. Somebody help me out on that. If you pull at 10,000 feet, a 24-foot canopy, and the canopy size matters too, right? So a 24-foot canopy, he's going to fall a little quicker. It's in the FBI files, all this stuff. They did figure it out. They did all these calculations. Yeah, Tina Bar was found, I think, 3 months after the money, 3 months before the money is found. Could be a coincidence, but maybe not. I'd get bored after about 4 minutes. I don't know if you'd get bored I'd be terrified. I'm so scared of heights. I can't imagine being bored under a parachute. Joe says, and of course, you'd be going faster if you're tumbling. You might speed up. Old Indian Trick says he jumped at 13,500 and his jump was like 6 minutes. Okay. And it is cold up there. Yeah, it is cold. I feel like there's no benefit. Is there really a benefit to pulling early if you don't have a functioning reserve? I think if you're Cooper, you want to get to the ground as quickly as possible, right? So, Max said that he did research on it and he thought that he wanted to free fall a certain amount of time. I think he said he counted to like 15 or something like that, right? So yeah. What do you guys think? Do you pull high or do you pull low? How far away from the jump could he drift if he pulled right away? I think they said 3 miles. Let me pull up my my little chart here. I should probably always have my oh crap. Let me pull up my handy deep drop zone graphic. All right, here we go. That file is too big. You can't upload that file. Why don't you piss off? Can I? Oh, that one's not. Okay, this one will work. So here's the map of his drift. So, okay, so the far extent is where they thought he would go at the most. So like he's even at the most, he's not going to land in Lake Merwin, right? So where did that go? There we go. So yeah. And they think Highland is about right. But I mean, I agree. I think Highland, that area right around there seems to be correct. But yeah, that's the maximum he would drift. 2 to 3 miles. But yeah, Joe says, yeah, there's no Joe, I should have you on. Well, I don't know if you probably can't come on because you're active military. You probably can't come on the show. But anyway, well, no, Mike Davis came on the show. He was active military. Sergeant Mike came on the show, and Sergeant Joe can come on the show too. But yeah, there's no benefit to pulling high if you have no reserve. Like, honestly, if you're going to die, I'd rather find out I'm going to die in 10 seconds, not 60 seconds. Yeah, we miss Mike. I hope we see Mike again. Mike's a good dude. A pro could easily steer that rig. Yeah, paratroopers know how to do. I mean, they can mess with the risers enough to kind of direct themselves a little bit for sure. Is Tina Barr in the drop zone? Hell no. No. Tina Barr is, God, if I can show how far away Tina Barr is. Do I have one of these maps that shows, maybe that's in my Tina Barr folder, but no, it's nowhere near. I mean, Tina Barr is, gosh, a long way away from the drop zone, like 15, 20 miles. So no, there's no chance, none. There's a 0% chance that DB Cooper jumped anywhere near Tina Barr. I mean, just it's literally not possible. All right. They're all on TikTok. So, well, maybe they would come on my show. Yeah, Joe might come on my show. I don't know. Is there still an FBI reward for tips? No. There never was. How about that? How about them apples? There actually never was an FBI tip, an FBI reward. That's why you'll know if you ever see a thing on eBay or something that's like a wanted poster and it's got like $10,000 or whatever, nope, not real. It was never the only rewards were from Northwest Airlines. And then when they got their money back after their lawsuit against their insurance company, the insurance company had a reward. So no, there never was. They never had it authorized. There's documents where they're asking Hoover to authorize rewards and things, and nope. The best they could do was indemnify you from prosecution. They said, if you've got something from the Cooper hijacking, if you have the money, or if you have the parachute or whatever, and you come forward, we will not prosecute you for accessory after the fact, nor will we prosecute you for possessing stolen property, which is what it was. That's another reason why, like, the whole Grider thing, where Grider's like, they returned the parachute. They returned the parachute to me, and this is evidence that it's Cooper's parachute. No, number one, the FBI are going to keep it if it's the real. Number two, that parachute belonged to somebody else. Okay, the family of Norman Hayden would somehow probably have a claim on it, I guess. Not you, Dan Grider. So yeah, I started without you, bro. 2.5 hours ago, we started without you. Joe says, I imagine a scenario where he's got his money in one hand, but none of that makes for a good, stable arching position. What money? I mean, the bag. I mean, is the new Cooper suspect connected to Henry Johnson? The guy being announced at CooperCon. Yes. Yep. Not the guy that I presented, but the new guy. Yeah. The new guy. Yeah. He's good suspect. I mean, he has a couple flaws that you guys are going to be interested in, but it's going to be cause some debate. I won't get into it, but he's otherwise a very solid suspect. He had a little over 2 hours from Portland until dark. If everything goes off without a hitch, wouldn't they have a chance to be ready before dark? You think he would have stalled until dark? Yeah. I mean, that would be foolish as hell to jump in the daytime. I mean, LaPointe jumped in the daytime, and literally a chase plane was circling him as he was descending in his parachute. Said LaPointe was like giving him the business as he's in his rig at this plane flying around in circles. And then I think when he landed, the chase plane flew off and did something else. But a teenage female pilot, a local girl in Colorado, was in her plane, and she circled around. She followed him to the ground, and she circled him in like basically she circled above the ground to give a marking spot for the ground police to find where it was, because he jumped out in a field in Colorado somewhere. So, do you think they still have the airplane sign they found in the woods? Yeah, but none of those are from the Cooper plane. Okay, nope. I think Flyjack proved that those were not on those models of 727s, and I think, and I know that I got super high def photographs that no one's ever gotten before of the Cooper plane on the ground in Reno. I got those from a request from the University of Reno, Nevada campus, or whatever, or University of Nevada, Reno campus, UNL, was it UNLV? No, whatever they're called, Yeah, I got a bunch of photographs of the plane the night of the height, sitting on the ground in Reno. Never been seen before. Like scans of the negatives. I mean, these are like 80 megabyte pictures of the Cooper plane. And yeah, they're not missing. The placards are not missing. They're on the plane. Okay, so there's not, no, they didn't, those did not, neither of, there's two of them out there, and neither came from the Cooper plane. I have seen 302 suggesting that they were open to offering cash rewards. Yeah, they thought about it, Mary. Yeah, but they never got it authorized. Any chance Flyjack will join you on a stream? No. I've asked him. I don't dislike the guy. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, people might think that, like, I respect his play. He's trying really hard. I mean, I respect the game. Okay. I respect the game of a guy who won't back down on things. And it's a bit ridiculous at times when you're debating him on things. But no, I mean, I've invited him on the show. I said, look, man, you can do audio only. You don't have to come on visually. I've invited him to CooperCon. It's not what he wants to do. Ryan, did they ever find the parachutes? No, Max. No. You mean on Cooper's parachutes? Oh. I was about to say, Max. Did they ever find the parachutes, McCoy and Mac, throughout the planes? They didn't. McCoy, yes, they did find the one McCoy threw out because it had a tracker in it. So one of the ones McCoy threw out as a decoy had a tracker in it. And I think he knew that, I think. And Max, I don't think Mac didn't thought any decoy parachutes. Max were all in the plane, and Heinemann didn't either. They were all left in the plane. Flyjack is a recluse. He's something. He is breaking the stereotypes. He is kind of rude. Fly, if you're watching this, you're pretty rude, man. I mean, you're kind of unnecessarily ugly to people. And, just saying, you can be nicer, man. We don't hate you. We disagree with you. It's okay. It's okay to disagree with somebody. Shane says, I think we will never confirm who Cooper was. I agree. But we'll eventually narrow him down to a handful of very good suspects. Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, possibly we could get to a point where maybe something could be discovered that makes a suspect. There could be a suspect one day where, like, 50% of the vortex is like, it's probably that guy. I mean, I think that's possible. Some future technology will be able to identify him, in my opinion. Probably so, honest to God. I mean, who knows, man? I mean, really, who knows? I mean, could anybody have imagined Wi-Fi 50 years ago? No. I still don't understand it. I mean, I had this the other day, and, like, I wasn't high or anything because it sounds like a stoner thought, but I was like, what in the, like, the fact that you guys are watching me talk, like, hearing my voice, It's all ones and zeros. Like, how is this done? Like, what in the world? What have you ever thought about it? Like, a computer is a bunch of ones and zeros on microchips doing things. How do you get an image or anything from ones and zeros? It's just crazy. So yeah, there could be maybe there's some like, who knows, man? I mean, who knows? There could be some kind of like Assassin's Creed DNA thing where like they can jump into DNA and look at your memories through DNA or something. Who knows? Joe Lakich, bad suspect. Joe Lakich is a terrible suspect. And I love Bill Rollins to death. Bill Rollins is a great guy. I love Bill Rollins. But his suspect is not a good suspect. Lakich is not good. Why would a guy who just lost a daughter in a hijacking go threaten other men's daughters? It just doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. I don't see it at all. And he was an army guy. He was infantry. He wasn't. Tell the POI's family you could strike it rich if you find they're already rich. That's the thing. That's partly why I was like, believe them when they they're well to do, very well to do. They don't need any publicity or money. That guy's family for sure. We need Jude Morrow on. We need the Irishman on. Speaking of the Irishman, don't kill the Irishman, Jude. Hi, it's Jude Morrow. They'll never get me Lucky Charms. Speaking of, Dan Cooper was actually an assassin from Assassin's Creed as they drop from tall heights and survive. That would be funny. Tell the POI's family no funny stuff. There you go. Thank you for your time, Ryan. Fascinating as always. Well, you're welcome, Lord Byron, sir. Cheers. 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 All right. What we got going on? Robert Gregory. Yeah, Robert Gregory. Oh, Robert Gregory. Anyways, all right. What are we talking about, people? Okay, I'm so sorry. I've missed your question 1,000 times. Brewers fan here, first time watcher. Well, hello, Max Smith, the Brew Crew. You, my partner in crime, John Limbach of CooperCon, my fellow owner of CooperCon, big Brewers fan, lives in Milwaukee. The Brew Crew, man, best baseball cap in the world. I will fight anyone. That is the cool ass hat, right? I mean, come on, people. Let's look at it. I think the best cap in sports, unquestionably, because, right? If we look at it, if we look at the Brewers cap, it's brilliant, right? It's a baseball glove, right? But look again. It's an M and a B from Milwaukee Brewers. How cool is that? I mean, like, that's about as cool of a hat as you can get, I think. Now, there is one that rivals it. There is one that rivals it. And ye shall see what it is. No, not a WebApp file. God damn WebApps. Hate a WebApp. Stupid WebApps. WebApps ruin my day because I cannot, stupid WebApp file, I cannot pull them up on the stupid stream that I run. So I have to like save it as a JPEG, which is like the biggest pain in the nuts. But yeah, this is the best baseball cap, in my opinion. The Montgomery Biscuits. Look at that. Your mascot is a biscuit with a stick of butter as a tongue. The Montgomery Biscuits. Fight me. That is an awesome cap. So yeah, Montgomery Biscuit. Look at his tongue. His tongue is a stick of butter. That's awesome. Anyone ever toured Lambeau Field? Yeah. Packer's not in the chat. Packer would, yeah, there's my partner. You keep watching my show more. Packer is we call him Packer. He's a Packers nut. He owns tons of memorabilia for Green Bay. John, yeah. James, you're funny, man, because you're trolling me on Kenny Christensen. You're just trolling me, aren't you? Because you say really salient things like this, and then you're talking about Kenny. I think you're messing with me on Kenny, aren't you? You're just grinding my gears. Cooper had a small private seaplane that he flew in from Vancouver and landed in at Tina Bar, and that's how he got back. Well, do I have the, where is it? I better have it. Oh no. Oh yeah, I do. Well, and remember for my video about how Cooper got to the airport, right? I did have a graphic about that. I mean, that is, I mean, I don't think so, but yeah, I mean, there is a seaplane thing right there near the airport. There's, there's Cooper parking his seaplane, going to the airport. I don't think that's what happened, but possible. All right. The Lee Valley Iron Pigs. Yeah, the minor league teams are great. I keep missing this question. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, dude. You keep asking me and I'm so freaking sorry. Please forgive me. What's the most surprising thing you learned from the 302s? Well, I learned something that was not surprising last night, which is that the stewardesses were shown Bill Heineman's photograph and projected it. No crap. That was duh. The most surprising thing. God. I don't know. I mean, I think learning that the weather, like when I first found the weather report, was interesting. I mean, the weather was like 44 degrees on the ground. It wasn't freezing. It was no rainstorm, wasn't anything like that. That was interesting to see that for the first time, to see the actual National Weather Service data that was given to the FBI. That's surprising. The fact that a $20 bill back then only lasted 18 months in circulation. That's interesting. I think that maybe some of the coincidences are just really weird. Like that was like Joseph Henry Johnston, learning about him was really weird. That was strange. Gary Samdahl, like that a guy is on a Northwest Airlines 727 the day before the hijacking, flying to Portland from Chicago, and he's in the cockpit talking to the pilots about jumping out the back. And then he ends up in Portland. And then that's weird. So like the fact that, and they reported him before the hijacking. So like when this guy got off the plane, the pilots were like, that guy's weird. Like that, because the guy was an air traffic controller, Gary Samdahl. Okay. And air traffic controllers can like go into the cockpit and, especially back then. I mean, heck, anybody go in the cockpit back then, seems like, but Gary Samdahl was an air traffic controller, is up there. He's like, I'm going to jump out the back. Or he's saying, could I jump out the back? I think I could. Do you think y'all could, can the stairs lower in flight? Would it be weird to fly the plane? And asking these questions, and they reported them to Northwest Security when they left. They're like, this guy was asking really weird questions. So they're like, it's really weird that there is a Northwest Orient file the day before the hijacking where a guy is talking to pilots about jumping out the back of a 727, of a Northwest Orient 727, flying into Portland. Okay, that is weird. I mean, come on. That's a weird ass coincidence. What's the best hotel for CooperCon? The one we're all staying at. I forget which one is it. The same one as last year. I forget what the Hilton, I guess. I'll message you later on. I forget. Where is it? did Cooper come up with the name on the spot? Was in line with the other Cooper on the plane? No. Good question though. No, good question. Thank you, Nikki. The Hilton downtown Vancouver. No. So Michael Cooper flew in. He was on the plane from Missoula. So he had flown from Missoula. He was flying Missoula to Seattle. So no, Cooper would not have been in line with Michael Cooper. That's a great thought though. Heck, really, that's a good idea. Pretty neat. But no, he wasn't. I mean, having talked to a Cooper copycat about his alias, which is, I asked him, Mass Mac, I was like, why did you pick, Robert Wilson? He just said, I thought it'd be easy to remember. And so I think same thing. I mean, Dan Cooper, it's not difficult. Joseph Henry Johnston's close serial number 20 has me convinced he is connected. 1 in a million odds. I'm not sure if it's 1 in a million odds, but it's, you can get close. I mean, Flyjack claims he found a 20 that was within like 5 or 4 digits, he says 3 digits. But so it's possible, but I mean, the guy is flashing 20s around like in December, and then he's dead in March of a drug overdose. Just, I don't know. Yes, a $20 bill had an 18-month lifespan in circulation, and I'm not making that up. Again, this is the difference in me and people like Dan Greider, is if I say something like that, if I say a dispositive, like a declarative statement like that, I am not making that up. Okay, that is, that's it. Let's see. I know I've got that somewhere. Where is that about the money? But yeah, it's from the Treasury Department. It says it's a document just says we contacted the Treasury and we asked them how long $20 bills would last in circulation. Is that here? It is. Yep. Okay. Yep. It says blank redacted. A Federal Reserve official was contacted and he advised that the average life expectancy of a $20 bill, assuming normal circulation patterns, would be approximately 1.5 years. And remember, they did not start recording the serial numbers of destroyed currency until the 90s. So, I mean, the 20s could have been entered in circulation and we would never know. So, how often did Cooper say his name? Yeah, just once. Is it possible they wrote down Dan and he said Don? I mean, maybe. What kind of guitar is that behind you? That is a Rickenbacker 325, the same type that John Lennon played on the Ed Sullivan Show. Okay. Ryan, I saw a pigeon resting on a deer's horn today while I was at the mill working. That sounds like a Mad Lib. Remember the Mad Libs? Where you would just like insert random adjectives and nouns and things. This is an ad lib. I seen a pigeon resting on a deer's horn today while I was at the mill working. That is an ad lib. Mad Lib. Right? Would you put money on Johnson being the sidekick? No, because I still don't think Cooper had help. I still, if I had a gun to my head, I'm thinking that Cooper did this alone. He said it like Bond. He said Cooper, Dan Cooper. He did. He said Cooper, Dan Cooper, according to Dennis Listening. Yeah, Darren had the guy with currency knowledge who said Cooper didn't spend the money. I know. Again, you hate to like this shit on a guy who's like wrote the book on paper money, but he did not seem to be in full. He didn't seem to have a full understanding. That's my own complaint. And that's why I do disagree with some of the things he said. He didn't seem to have a full understanding of the case. So, I mean, he's saying things but I mean, he's not very knowledgeable on the topic. So on the Cooper thing. So he was making some mistakes on that. I'm going to make a DB Cooper Mad Lib generator page. Yeah, that'd be funny. We could play Clue. It was Braden in the closet with the candlestick. The Braden in the closet with the grider chute. That's it. What kind of, okay. If Cooper said Don, then it could be Don Burnworth. Yeah. You know how even if Mac got away with it, we would have found him. He took a poop in his parachute container as an FU to whoever found it. Bam, we would have his DNA. I think again, if they didn't preserve his cigarettes, they would not have preserved his poop. They would have washed that off. There's actually do I have a? Oh, I thought I had a picture. There is a photograph of Mac's parachute without poop. So Mac said that was the thing Mac said that was the thing that he was most upset about at his trial, was that they didn't bring up the fact that he pooped in the parachute. He really wanted them to, because he wanted to howl out laughing in there. You know, Mac's defense was that the FBI told the media that Cooper could not have, or that the hijacker, because Mac jumped out at 330 miles an hour and didn't appear to know what he was doing. And so the FBI said, there's no way this guy survived. So that was his defense at trial, was I didn't do it because I'm alive. Ryan has a picture of that shoot as his Mac's background picture. I'm not sure what you mean. All right. Jamie, I'll kick your ass. Very funny. Jamie says, do the Beatles have a song better than Daydream Believer? I think not. Aren't you funny? Daydream Believer is a damn good song, though. Oh, you guys are almost as good as the Monkees. It was Robert with his stepfather in the barn. That's funny. It's a rag straw joke. Let's see. Yes. Pin that. Good job. I'll give you a star. Cooper only involved equals unsolved. 2 people involved equals case solved years ago. I think so. Yep. Unless you kill the accomplice, right? Which is may have what happened to Johnson, right? This guy just drops dead, moves to Portland after taking skydiving lessons, after getting out of prison. He is arrested the day before the hijacking in the drop zone. He's flashing 20s around in December, and he's dead in March. Oh, interesting guy. Pet sounds, yes. Good vibrations. Then, Sergeant Pepper fried Brian Wilson's brain, right? Like made him go crazy. Poor Brian Wilson. There's a sad, literally, like if you watch, there's a movie about this. It's called Peace and Love or something like that. Love and Harmony. I don't know what it is, but it's a movie about Brian Wilson. John Cusack plays him. The late Brian Wilson. That's right. Brian Wilson and McCartney were born like maybe 2 days apart, which is pretty interesting. Both in 1942. But anyway, Brian, like Sergeant Pepper came out and he was so upset because he thought he couldn't ever top it. And he had a nervous breakdown. He made the Beach Boys. Of course, he is the Beach Boys. Brian Wilson is the Beach Boys. Genius, super genius. But yeah, he panicked and quit making records for like 20 years because Sergeant Pepper, he thought, and Revolver's way better than Sergeant Pepper, by the way, Beatles albums. But yeah, he quit. And like, there's a story. He became a recluse, right? Brian Wilson became like Howard Hughes and like wouldn't leave his room for like years because of his Beatles nervous breakdown. And there's a story where Paul McCartney went to his house. Paul McCartney in 1968 was doing something out there in LA and went to go see Brian because they were like, hey man, Brian's not coming out of his room. Maybe you can talk to him. And Paul McCartney goes to Brian Wilson's house, goes up and like knocks on his bedroom door. Who is it? Hey, Brian, it's me, Paul. It's your buddy, Paul. Brian goes, go away. Like, okay. Like, tell him to go away. Paul McCartney, go away. He did. Dave Clark 5 is better than the Beatles. James St. James. James St. James. That's like, what's the guy's name? What's the copycat who had his head blown off, people? Merlin St. James. Right? Merlin St. James. What a great name. Merlin St. James. Real name was like Harold Beneke or something weird like that, right? But yeah, head taken off with a shotgun. The copycat. Was it Merlin Merlin St. James. Merlin St. James. Yeah, there he is. There's old Merlin. Don't worry, it's not gory. Just a guy with no head. There's Merlin St. James. That poor stewardess, my God. So when they killed this guy with a shotgun to his head, he didn't want to jump out. Merlin St. George. Thank you, Mary. Merlin St. George. This guy freaks out, doesn't want to jump out. He chickens out like Melvin Fisher chickened out, right? He had the money, didn't jump out. Same thing Melvin Fisher did and chickened out. He wants a getaway car instead. They land. He takes a stewardess hostage, jumps in the getaway car with her. He's going to drive. Stewardess is in the passenger seat. A FBI agent walks up, sneaks up with a shotgun. I mean, the guy is literally in the photo holding the shotgun. There's a guy on the right-hand side holding that shotgun. Walks up to the passenger side, just sticks it right past the stewardess's head. Boom, pulls the trigger. I mean, yeah. That stewardess, wow. That would have been, think Jackie Kennedy. Really bad. Worse than Jackie Kennedy, because that guy's head was gone. Horrible. And there's a photo of her, a stewardess, like sitting in a car like this. So, revolver's better, but way better. I mean, I don't ever casually listen to Sergeant Pepper. I just don't. I don't know why. I mean, that's probably, I just don't do it. All right. Thank you. You got me in a DB Cooper when the audio recordings came out. I found your videos then and I've since become an expert on the case. That's my goal, people, is an educator. Okay. I'm not trying to solve this case. I'm just not, because my time is spent on being a historian of this case. I'm a history nut. This case has a lot of fun history with hijackings and all kinds of neat stories of copycats. And it's a history. For me, it's history. You know, it is. And I think that's why I've had such great, not bragging, but I've had really good success with people like copycats I've talked to, you know, or people who were involved in the hijacking. Because they know that I'm not in it to I'm not like, look at this suspect. And, you know, I'm in it for a historical reason. Like, this is history to me. Okay. When did you give up on solving it? I haven't given up, but, you mean like me? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've not given up. I mean, you never know. Like, for example, I think the new guy is the best suspect ever. Okay. And I'm not promoting him as Cooper. I don't think he's Cooper, but he's the best suspect we've ever had. And, I got that from just a random message from somebody. Hey, I think my dad might've been, the message was, I don't want my dad to be DB Cooper, but I think he was. Interesting. Magical Mystery Tour. That's not even a real album. Magical Mystery Tour is not an album. It was a EP that they threw a bunch of tracks on. But yeah, if it was an album, then yes, it would be great. If it was an album, it would be great. Because it does. I mean, if it was, but it's got songs like, it has singles on, like All You Need Is Love, Strawberry Fields Forever, Pin Lane. Those don't belong on Magical Mystery Tour. Those were singles. So the Beatles didn't make that album. It's not real. The Beatles are overrated. I ought to bounce you. Tell me you don't know about music without telling you don't know about music. No offense, Dodger Ram Sport, but no. It's not even like something people can actually discuss honestly, really. You cannot be overrated when you're the top. Paul is dead, 66 now. Paul did not die. Yes, it isn't. Okay, he's saying it's canon now. I know, but it's not their canon though. They're not overrated. Why are they overrated? What's overrated about them? Because Ringo didn't do fills like John Bonham or something. You know music? Well, then tell me why they're overrated. I'm a musician too, so I think that's ridiculous to say that. I mean, it's a really weird thing to say, that they're overrated. I'll tell you who is overrated. Aerosmith. I have never understood that. Never understood that. Did Bill see a new picture of the new suspect? Yes. He liked a certain thing on the guy's neck. The guy had a really weird neck thing. Ringo is Ringo is an effing beast. Effing beast. I agree. Yes! 100%. Isn't that crazy? Dream On is Aerosmith's very first song that they released, and it's their best song. I'm like, it's all downhill from there. It's like, just come on, man. Don't give me Aerosmith. I can't do it. I forgot the song from Armageddon. Is James St. James still around? Merlin St. James is definitely not still around. The Byrds best the Beatles. No. Byrds is good. Byrds are great. Walk This Way. These songs are repetitive. I tell you, the worst repetitive guy is Lenny Kravitz. Those songs he has are just so like repetitive. I want to fly away. Yeah. Ringo is, as a drummer, I'm a drummer. Ringo is insanely underrated. Like insanely underrated. He is so good because he serves the song perfectly. He's not doing anything crazy. All right. You're not getting me an Aerosmith CD. The Rolling Stones are not better than the Beatles, man. Come on now. The Rolling Stones, yes, I've seen, Danny Carey from Tool is like I love Tool. Tool's I would say my biggest bands are of my life. I mean, Beatles, Tool, and Radiohead. I know that's pretty diverse, but yeah. Metronome, yes. Ringo is a metronome. Like they've done, and that's actually scientific. Like they've actually done testing on Ringo on Beatles tracks. His timing is like flawless. I mean, they've literally done testing, like how they do testing on that stuff for timing. It's Ringo's. He does not mess up. Hermits. Shut up. Rick Allen. I prefer Elvis. Elvis, is a Mississippian. Elvis was an Ole Miss fan too. I'll say that. Ringo's gonna outlive them all. I know. The sickly kid from Liverpool. I never got into the Beatles myself. I couldn't stand the bubblegum crap. They never had their bubblegum crap is better than most people's turds. Their bubblegum crap is better than most people's hits. That's the thing. You don't get Tool. Okay, you said been a professional musician. I mean, Tool is like metal. It's weird. Tool is like metal that doesn't hurt your head. Yeah, no, the Beatles had like a couple years of bubblegum, and then even their bubblegum, like if the only song they ever had was She Loves You, it would be a legendary song. The Stones, I am not interested. Yes. Am I interested in other unsolved mysteries? Sure. Mrs. Sleuth is really into the Asdal woman. I know Nicole Legg is into that too. The Asdal. I'll do something on that one day. And yes, I have heard of the Max Headroom hijacking. That was really weird. That seems like, there's no way they're almost certain that there had to be a person who worked like in that field. Like there's no way that like an amateur would have done that. I think they said there's like no way in hell. Like they just wouldn't have the technical know-how back then to do that. There's no like internet to learn how to do it. So they think it had to be somebody who worked there. Can we all agree on the greatness of Buddy Holly? Hell yeah. We can definitely all agree on the greatness of Buddy Holly. I am with you there. TV engineer. Yeah. Who is the newest suspect? No, I don't have an episode about it because I can't. The family of the guy are afraid of his name getting out there, but he's really good. And there's a photo of him. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I can get away with it. I don't know. Well, I'll say this. One thing I like about him, I'll show his hair. I'll show his hair about that. I like his hair because Remember, Cooper's hair was described as actually being somewhat wavy and marcelled, sort of, kind of like some kink to it. And we have Bill Mitchell saying that there was a pop above the forehead. It had a pop in it. That it popped up at his forehead. And so, yeah, this is the guy's hairline. You can see his hair is kind of marcelled and kinky. And it does pop. Right there above the forehead has this pop to it. So I like that. Darker blade with wave in front up over his forehead. That's what I think. So I have Flyjack chime in and say, oh, well, Heineman has a wave from his forehead. He's talking about his whole head. Perfect Circle. Perfect Circle is Tool light. It's like Diet Tool. I like Perfect Circle a lot. I see. I was about to say, there cannot be professional musicians who think the Beatles are overrated. Like, that's not a thing. It's like being a baseball player. I'm like, oh, Shohei Ohtani's not that good. Okay. All right. The McCoy hair pop. Yeah. The McCoy hair pop. Why did the FBI dismiss Ralph Cooper, brother of Dan Cooper, who was shot by a police? I have no idea. Did I watch Wimbledon? No. And yes, check out the sunglasses. I know. Yeah, okay. I'll end on this. For those of y'all who've hung in here, I'll throw you another bone here of this guy. His sunglasses. Yeah, there's a photo of him. There's a photo of him in 72. And yeah, he's definitely wearing some Coopery sunglasses for sure in this picture here. Let me save this. All right. Sorry, folks. Give me a second. Oh, and he was of Native American stock from the Midwest. Is what his ethnicity was. He was a white guy, but he was Native American too. Where'd it go? There we go. Yeah, so the picture of him wearing these sunglasses in 72, which are like, oh, wow, cool. Very, very Coopery, huh? Very Coopery sunglasses. Very Coopery. I dig it. Can you dig it? My chair is squeaking. I need to put some WD-40 in my chair. Hope y'all don't hear that. Sounds like something else, but my chair is messing up. Anyway, but yeah. Cool shades, man. Yeah. Okay. 200 watching. Only 32 likes. I know, folks. Just hey, Kelly, you're late. Well, I'm leaving, and Kelly shows up. All right. Yes, please give me more likes. The new suspect needs to come out. Well, I know it'd be a lot more fun to talk about if we could talk about him. I mean, like I said, I'm open. Thing is, I try to kill suspects, and I tried to kill this guy, and I couldn't, and no one else has. I mean, I sent it to Meltzer and Martin Andrade and Bruce Smith. I mean, everybody. Kill this guy. Can't do it. I mean, and again, I'm not saying he's Cooper. I'm just saying that I don't know of a suspect who doesn't have any flaws. Okay. Refresh the page. Oh, give me some likes. All right, then. Well, all right, then. All right. Well, that's it. That's it. That's all I got. Anyway, so I'm done. So yeah. And no tie particle connection. When did I hear about this guy? Everybody's talking about this. How far behind are you guys? Jeez. Is a suspect good? No, he's not. No. The females who have seen this guy certainly said, Dana, you can hear the 305 audio on my YouTube page. Dana? I mean, just go watch it on my YouTube channel. I've got the audio. Yes. Okay. Yeah, but the new guy is definitely not good looking. And when did I hear about the new guy? Talked to his daughter. They reached out. Anyways. Okay. Because people do reach out to me all the time. All the time. All right, guys, that's all I've got for today, folks. So like and subscribe and all that YouTube stuff. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Cheers. Cheers.